What did you do with the money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount Power?
I took all my friends out to dinner.
I paid off all my credit cards.
I took my whole family on a vacation.
I bought all this.
At Discount Power, saving you money on electricity is our business. What you do with it is yours. Great rates, great service. Simple. Visit discountpowertx.com today and save.
Daawat Indian Cuisine, the best restaurant in the heart of Frisco, where you can eat all you want under one roof. Sizzling food, mouth-watering appetizers, freshly made yummy butter chicken, balochi kadai, roasted chicken and lot more. Come with your loved ones and enjoy Daawat.
Hello everyone, this is Sam, quality with quantity only at Daawat. एक बार आए जरूर.
Daawat, quality with quantity.
What did you do?
Welcome back to the special election transmission on One Solar TV. We're going to keep you posted here on every election result as it's coming in. We're going to talk to you a little bit more in detail on exactly what is going on in the path to 270 for each of the candidates. Right now, so far, One Solar TV has called 131 electoral college votes for Joe Biden and 92 electoral college votes for Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean anything until we hit 270 or very close to 270. That really doesn't mean anything. For example, there's Florida, which right now is likely leaning towards Donald Trump, and that is at 29 electoral votes. So अगर एक ही यही हम add कर दें, तो you're looking at Donald Trump taking the lead here in just a little bit. Kafi states are going to be coming in here as we speak. For example, Texas, there's a lot of votes that are being counted. Like we talked about, 67% of the votes have been reported in the state of Texas. And there's a very small lead. It's growing a little bit, but there's a small lead right now that Donald Trump has taken of 50% versus 48.3%. So about 1.7% is the difference. And the difference is about 250,000 votes. That's what Trump is winning by right now. There's a lot of counties that we're waiting on in the state of Texas right now to report. So that we're going to keep you posted as it comes. Again, let's take a look at some of the swing states. Some of the important states, Pennsylvania is a very, very, very important state for President Trump to win. Ohio is another important state for President Trump to win. He's hanging on to Ohio with 50% right now, with 74% of the votes reported. He's at 50.4% so far in Ohio and Pennsylvania. So far, with 18% of the votes reporting, we have Vice President Biden's lead shrinking a little bit as we go into that. So as you can see on your screen, we're calling 131 electoral votes for Vice President Biden, and we're calling 92 electoral votes for Donald J. Trump. My team is going to let me know when the next guest is on. And until then, we're going to talk a little bit more about the significance of this election. So 2020, it's a big year for election. There's a lot on the line. For example, you have taxes on the line. So you have a president that has already lowered taxes for a lot of the corporations, a lot of the individuals. And then you have a candidate, which is Vice President Joe Biden, who has vowed to increase taxes. For example, corporate taxes. He has said that he would make a minimum corporate tax of 15%. There's a lot of companies that don't pay income tax here in the United States. Apple, Amazon, and many others. They find ways to not really pay any taxes here in the United States. However, President Biden has said that he would make that a campaign issue. And if he were elected, he would make a minimum of 15% tax bracket or tax rate for all corporations to be able to pay. So that's a key issue. There's a lot of other key issues that people are looking at. Supreme Court is another big issue, and we've actually got a couple of guests that we're going to be speaking with about Supreme Court. So for example, right now Supreme Court leans 6-3 towards the Republican side. What does that mean? It's a lifetime appointment to be a Supreme Court justice. And 6 out of the 9 are extremely conservative. Now, the most liberal, the swing, well, it's not even the swing vote anymore, but the most liberal being the Chief Justice John Roberts so far. Justice Barrett, that just got elected, that just got confirmed to the Supreme Court, is actually more to the right of Chief Justice John Roberts. Okay, so I was just told that we've got our next guest on call, and as a matter of fact, Bina, I need my sheet. No, I need my sheet. So give us just a second. देखिए ये है लाइव शो. लाइव शो में थोड़े बहुत तो आपको पता चलेगा कि लाइव है, ये प्री रिकॉर्डेड नहीं है. तो जरा मैं शीट लूँ बीना जी से. Bina ji, I need my card for my next guest. And okay, but I need my card and I need my intro. Okay. It's okay. I can go ahead and talk to Sumbul. So let me know, team, when Sumbul is on screen. And awesome. So I'd like to welcome Sumbul Aurangzeb to our show. Sumbul is a very young activist here in North Texas. She's on the staff with, well, I actually don't know if I'm clear to say who she's on the staff with. I'll let her say that. But first and foremost, Sumbul, thank you so much for being on One Solar TV and spending a part of your election night with us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Ali. I'm super excited to be here. And yeah, I work for Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, who won tonight.
Yay! Where's the sound? Hang on, Sumbul. Congressman Eddie Bernice Johnson won. Where's my sound crew? No, nobody's going to give applause for Congressman Eddie Bernice Johnson winning. Can I beg? There we go. We finally get applause. Or anytime soon. Never mind. I'm applauding for her, Sumbul.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Like we said, it's a live transmission. We're going to have some issues. I apologize. Okay, so congratulations to Congressman Johnson. Now, one thing that I want to say about her is she is very, very active in the minority community here in North Texas. So is this something that we can expect her to continue?
Absolutely, absolutely. Congresswoman Johnson, she represents a minority majority district. And even when her district used to include parts of Irving and parts of Carrollton, now it's all south of Dallas. But she's always been very much in touch with all of the different ethnic groups, like the Korean community, Pakistani community, Indian community, Taiwanese community, Jewish community, everybody basically. And even now, I head her. She has a special committee called the Asian American Committee, and basically, we identify leaders from the Asian American community here in North Texas, and they meet with her like 4 times a year, and she hears about, what issues are happening in the Pakistani community, what issues are happening in the Indian community, et cetera, and she tries to figure out how she can help. So yeah, she's definitely dedicated to uplifting people from different minority groups.
Very nice, and we appreciate all of the hard work that she puts in as a part of the minority group. So Sumbul, one of the things that you're very involved with is Muslim American vote, and specifically Muslim women voting. Tell us a little bit about your involvement there, and what have you seen change since 2016 to now?
So in 2016, leading up to that election, I was actually working for CARE DSW as their government outreach person. So I was doing outreach to the Muslim American community, trying to, get them to vote, going to the masjids, getting them registered, doing candidate forums, all these different types of things. And comparing what was going on then to comparing to what's happening now, I would just say that overall, as a community, we're much more organized. That includes includes the men and the women. We are much more organized. And then I would say that what I've seen this election season is that I've seen women from our community, from the Muslim community, from the South Asian community. They've basically been the leaders in a lot of efforts. And I could name about half a dozen or a dozen different Muslim women here in DSW who are leading different organizations, who are running for office, like, our very own Sadaf Haq. She was running for city council in Frisco, which was a very, very difficult thing to do, especially as a identifiably Muslim woman. And I think that Muslim women in our community have definitely taken the reins. And it is different because in the past we've kind of seen much more of a male leadership, like our masjid boards or any of these different organizations, like, for example, like the Pakistani American organizations or any of these organizations. They're mostly been dominated by men from our community. But I was with the National Group for Muslim Women for Biden, and it was refreshing, honestly, working with a group of other Muslim women from across the country. And it was fun. We were able to, determine all of our speakers, who we were going to include, what we were going to do, our marketing from A to Z. It was within our own hands. And I think in some ways we ended up being a little bit more popular than the broader Muslims for Biden group.
Okay. So do you have any numbers? I mean, I know Nadeem Bhai, I don't know if you were watching my previous guest. He told us that about 85% of the Muslims had voted in Collin County. Can you confirm those numbers with us as well? So
I'm not sure where he got his statistics from. I've seen some numbers from Mgage. So that may be what he was talking about, or it could be a different different data set that he's using. I've seen that about so not Collin County, but I would say that in North Texas, I think that about I'd say at least 70% of the Muslims. I think that's kind of probably a number I'm more comfortable with. About 70% of the population that could vote, that they've actually voted.
So that's actually a number that I've heard a lot as well, but it's somewhere between 70 and 85%. 70% of the people voting of any demographic, that can make a huge impact on the election, especially as elections get closer and closer. What impact are Muslims having towards these larger presidential elections with 130 million votes counted? Do we even matter?
No, we definitely matter, which is it's kind of strange because, they say that Muslim Americans make up maybe 1 to 2% of the United States population, which is not a huge number. But we, for whatever reason, we ended up settling ourselves in key parts of the country. And it could be our economic value as well. But basically, Muslim American votes, they definitely matter. And you can see this, like, for example, in the fact how Joe Biden paid so much attention to the Muslim American vote. And not just Joe Biden. When Bernie Sanders was still running, he came to ISNA. That was the first presidential panel that ISNA ever had. And Bernie Sanders came, and Castro, he also came. Prior to that, we had never had mainstream presidential candidates come and speak to an entirely Muslim audience of that size. Joe Biden, again, picking a person to specifically head Muslim American outreach. He has a specific agenda that was for Muslim Americans. A lot of detail was paid attention to what the Muslim American community was interested in, including even marketing, graphics, everything was geared towards getting the Muslim vote. And we matter. Our vote matters a lot in key swing states here in Texas, in places like Harris County, in Dallas County, in states like Michigan, in states like Pennsylvania. The Muslim vote can basically make or break an election, and not just at the presidential level, but even going down ballot as well.
Okay. So how do you respond, or how have you responded, I should ask, to people that have said, well, the views of Muslims do not really align with the views of Joe Biden, or even a lot of people accusing Kamala of having a hidden agenda that might be anti-Muslim or anti-Pakistani?
Well, I think that I think that argument is I think all those arguments are a little misguided. And in the end, everyone has their own opinion, and you can't convince everyone, and you shouldn't even necessarily have to change everyone's minds. But in my opinion, the things that matter most as a Muslim are things like treating people well, helping the poor, helping uplift those who need more help. So that may be, the elderly, that's people who need access to healthcare, that's people with disabilities, that's ethnic minorities, whoever it may be. And all of these issues are things that Joe Biden cares about, as well as Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris, me personally, I'm Pakistani American, I'm Muslim American, and I'm Kashmiri heritage. And I'm very proud when I see Kamala Harris, because she's also the daughter of immigrants. And I don't know if enough people know this, but she speaks out about human rights issues. Her and Joe Biden have spoken out about a sensitive topic for some people. They've spoken out about what's happening in Kashmir and in favor of the human rights of the Kashmiri people. So I don't think there's any hidden agenda. I think sometimes some people in our community have a little bit of a conspiracy theory mindset. I think what's very plain and obvious is that we have, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on the one hand, and then we have Donald Trump, who we know, believes and practices a lot of terrible things that go against our religion or our beliefs or our values. So it's pretty obvious to me, who we should be supporting.
Very, very nice. So again, I'm asking all of my panelists this, so I just pretend you have your hand on lie detector or a book of faith here. Did you vote?
Yes, of course I voted early, of course.
And who did you vote for?
I voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and every Democrat.
That sign was no indication in the background, so I just wanted to make sure, right? There's a lot of shy Trump voters per se. All right, what is your closing message to our viewers? What would you tell them about the election and about being involved?
I would say that I'm really proud of our community. I'm so proud of our community. Our community is still pretty young, especially the South Asian immigrant community. But mashallah, we have a lot of gifts. We have, highly educated population. We have economically strong population. We have so much to offer. So we're going to have some growing pains. We do have growing pains, but we are headed in the right direction. And while we're headed in the right direction, we still don't have enough of our population being civically engaged. And so I want everyone to keep being civically engaged. Just start from the beginning, vote in every election, not just presidential elections, vote in your local elections, your city council elections. Honestly, who your city council member is going to impact your life at a, kind of stronger level than, who the president is in a lot of cases. So stay involved, be engaged, and stay optimistic.
क्या मिलेगा मेरे लोग हंसेंगे मुझ पे
production, so sometimes we have things like that. But yeah, very, very good message. Thank you so much for being on our show, Sumbul. I look forward to seeing Congresswoman Johnson at events again. I always love talking to her, shaking her hand, thanking her for being there and being a part of it. Now, what is your prediction for tonight? Who do you think is going to be either the incumbent is going to win and remain 45, or are we going to have a president number 46?
It's so close right now. I have this adrenaline rush going on, just watching the numbers coming in. I hope to God that it's Joe Biden. That's what I'm making go off for. So we'll see and tell what happens.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of our show. We really appreciate you coming and taking the time. Best of luck to Congresswoman Johnson in her next term, and we look forward to seeing her again.
Okay, thank you, Ali. Thank you so much.
So, we've got a long night ahead of us, as Sumbul just told us, and we've got a lot of election swing states coming back in. So I'm going to keep you updated on some of those swing states. My screen is going from blue to red, but that's to be expected on a close election night like tonight. Arizona, one of the states that, again, is a state that Donald Trump should be winning pretty handily, pretty easily. Well, he's so far with 70% of the votes counted. He's behind by about 10 points, 54 to 44, and that's a very interesting race to watch. We're going to keep an eye on this as this comes up. Florida, again, the lead has widened for Donald Trump. He's comfortably at about 300,000 or more votes. He's winning by over 300,000 or more votes so far, 51% to 48%. Georgia, another, well, it shouldn't really be a swing state, but it became a swing state because it was close. Joe Biden had actually put a lot of resources, a lot of money towards, they're one of the first to vote in the primaries, with 6 electoral votes hanging in the balance, about 12% of the votes reporting so far, 2/3 voting towards Biden, about 1/3 voting towards President Trump so far. It looks like with 33% of the votes reporting, President Trump has a very, very comfortable lead in Michigan, 56% to 42%. The only state right now that is leaning left out of a lot of the swing states that we're looking at is New Hampshire with 53.7%, or the only one of the remaining ones, and President Trump trailing at about 44%. That's with 28% of the votes counted so far. North Carolina is a big, big, big state. It's an important state. There's 15 electoral votes hanging in the balance. Surprisingly, Joe Biden made a lot of effort to win North Carolina, and he's close with about 90% of the votes and over 5 million votes casted so far. President Trump is right under 2.6 million votes at 49.7%, and President Biden is at over, it's 2,571,000. So, I mean, the difference is only 30,000 votes in North Carolina, and that's going to be a very, very close race to watch. And it's probably going to go till very, very late. Pennsylvania, that's one that all of us are interested in seeing. 27% of the votes counted so far. President Trump is leading. He's leading by about 75,000 votes there. President Trump has also broadened his lead in the state of Texas, which we expect really to go to President Trump. So, am I looking at my next guest, Director Saab? Is that who I'm introducing? Okay. So we're gonna go towards our next guest, and our next guest is actually no stranger to One Solar TV. So our next guest is, well, the lady that you're used to seeing on Thursdays, and that's Allu Ali Panjwani. So Allu, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. So you're here on a Tuesday night instead of a Thursday night. How does it feel?
Very strange, and I'm very scared because, this is not my thing. I'm not at all into politics or anything, but I don't know. You guys wanted me here and I'm here.
तो वैसे आपको बड़ी सुरीली आवाज़ें सुनने को मिलती हैं आपके बराबर में, आज ये आवाज़ आपको सुनने को मिल रही है।
बहुत अच्छी है। No, the thing is, Ali, you are quite informative, and that's the main thing. आज जो है वो people, they are looking more for information, like accurate information rather than entertainment, and you're doing awesome job.
हमारे पास entertainment भी है, as a
Yeah,
matter of fact.
I know that. I've seen that.
Yeah, tell us about the entertainer, as a matter of fact.
Of course, everybody's favorite, जो हमारी अभी आके गई हैं अमिता.
हाँ.
So she'll be here, guys, and she's going to perform for.
उन्होंने आग लगा दी थी. I mean,
Yes,
it was an amazing show, and I know a lot of people are
She's very talented, and the thing is, she's very hardworking. She knows what she's doing, and मेहनत करती है. अब मुझे यहाँ बिठा दिया है without any knowledge, without any.
चलिए आप ये तो बता सकते हैं ना आपने वोट दिया है नहीं दिया?
जी बिल्कुल दिया.
किसको?
Definitely दिया.
किसको दिया?
Democrats.
Democrats. Awesome. तो आज आपको क्या लग रहा है कौन जीतेगा?
Oh, I have all my doubts. I have all my doubts. I'm wishing whatever is good for our country, our kids being an immigrant, you know, हमें कितने problems होते हैं, and you know, I'm more scared about the new generation, our kids, how they have to face the school, their friends, their jobs, and all that. So you know, it's scary, but let's see. Let's hope for whatever is best for our country, our kids, and for us as a, you know, minorities. So let's see.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on our show. We really appreciate you. We're going to continue going down the list with some of these states as we talk about the results coming out and what's going on. I believe the count is still the same between these two. And we have the count of, as I update, bear with us. So the election count still remains the same of 131 electoral college votes counted towards Joe Biden and 98 electoral college votes counted towards President Trump so far. There is going to be, don't let that excite you, don't let that entertain you. This is not like a sports arena or a sporting match where if somebody's ahead, they stay ahead. A lot of the states are going to be reporting here in a little bit. Now, with 131, you can say that he's halfway to 260. So far, President Trump is at 98 electoral votes, even though he's received about 38 million votes. Joe Biden is at 131 electoral votes, even though he's received fewer votes, 36 million or so far. We're going to be calling a lot of the swing states here in a little bit. Okay, so we have our next guest on Zoom here in just a little bit. Let me actually get prepared. Oh, this is going to be a very, very, very interesting conversation. You know what I'd actually like to do? I'm going to go ahead and have this conversation sitting down so I can look Athar in the eye. Binaji, can you get me the bio on our next guest, please? Okay. So we have our next guest who is going to be joining us today, who's actually going to be talking to us about a very, very important topic, and that is the Electoral College. He is going to hit a lot of the topics that I don't think anybody else is going to be covering on election night. And I don't think that anybody will cover even once we leave. So we're going to be talking to him a lot about why is Electoral College important? Why is it even needed? So Athar, welcome to One Solar TV. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, thanks, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I don't know, man. Let's see.
Well, I see a lot of red on my screen. Is that what you're following as well?
Well, I'm, just talking and seeing. It's early in the night, of course, but we've been working very hard for the last 6 months, 7 months, specifically on Biden campaign. So I really hope that today, not for just the campaign, but for our country, we do change the trajectory of which where we're going. But again, we are going in knowing that 2016, we knew that Hillary was winning, we thought, and everybody was very optimistic. Today, we are cautiously optimistic. We're seeing as the results are coming in. Let's see, man.
Is the optimism fading in the Biden campaign as the results are coming in?
No, I don't think so. I mean, just because Trump campaign has to maintain the lead, they do have enthusiasm and incumbency on their side. But for the Democrats, there are multiple pathways. If Biden campaign wins Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Arizona, they win the presidency. If they win North Carolina, or Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, they win the presidency. They win, Michigan. There's like so many multiple things that they can do to win. So it's not just one thing that they have to, like they lost Florida. I don't think Biden campaign was really focused on Florida. And early on, I'm talking about 3 months ago, I was speaking with them, and Florida was still not on top of the ticket list to campaign in. So I don't think Florida was going to be a blue state tonight. I think they were really hoping for Georgia. They were hoping for North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona. These are the states they were focused on. Texas, they were not, but
they're losing a lot of those, by the way, that you're saying as the results are coming in. Biden campaign is behind in Georgia. He's behind in North Carolina. He's behind in Pennsylvania, behind in Wisconsin. So it looks like there's a lot of blood on the street again, kind of like 2016. Is the tide turning? Did it go from a blue wave to a red wave again?
I mean, I think on any election night, on presidential election night, I think everything's said and done, and you cannot say nothing before like 10, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. That's when, that's when the things are really showing. So, for example, I'm looking at North Carolina right now. North Carolina, Biden is behind like 60,000 votes, but 750,000 votes are still out. In Arizona, he's ahead by 73% votes are in, and he's ahead by 8 points. Yeah. So, and Michigan, Wisconsin, they are very early in the night, so we don't know. They're too early. So if he picks up Arizona, and now, not to mention the mail-in ballots, right? Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they have a lot of mail-in ballots that are not counted. If we go to slim margins of, like for example, in 2016, Trump won Michigan by only 11,000 votes. And if there is 20, 30, 40,000 mail-in votes is still out there, I don't think we will know exactly which way Michigan's going tonight. I don't think we will know exactly, unless it's overwhelmingly voting for Trump, right?
Okay.
So I don't think that's going to happen.
Do you expect the results to be, do you expect for us to know who the president is going to be tonight?
No.
Okay, so you do expect it to continue and be a bloody battle. Okay, I want to actually get to really what we brought you on for, which is something that's near and dear to my heart, and a lot of people don't really understand, the Electoral College. Look, a lot of our viewers are immigrants. A lot of the people that we work with or that we associate with are immigrants, and we understand popular vote. So what is this Electoral College, and why does it matter?
I don't know if it matters as much now as far as the technicality of it goes, right? It matters because this is the system that's in place. I just don't know if technically it's as effective as it used to be. So, the reason why we had Electoral College was there are two ways when the United States was coming up, there are two ways that people used to get votes in. And it used to be a popular vote. And the other one was, like example in Pakistan, right? Parliament chooses the prime minister.
Yeah.
It's not the people. So people elect the members of National Assembly, and they choose the prime minister in the National Assembly. So the United States was building the people who were drawing up Constitution. They said, look, there are two ways. If people who start like in Congress, if they get the power to choose the president, there is a chance of corruption because they can promise members of Congress whatever, and they can choose the president. So they didn't want to go that route. Other was popular vote, and they thought popular vote had two problems because America is such a vast land. They didn't know if popular vote really would make a difference or would matter because they're just, America from one end to the other is 3,000 miles if you drive diagonally. And how do you get everybody to know what's going on in Washington, D.C.? So people didn't have the access to information. So they said that we will have a state, two representatives for each of the Senate, and as many Congress members that you have in your state, you will have each person representing the congressional district. And that's how the electoral votes came into being. So if your state have 2 senators, and then your state had 10 Congress member, and your population grows, and now you have 15 congressional districts over time. So each congressional district will have a person run as an electorate in that congressional district and become an electoral vote. And that's what they decided, that because instead of having all state coming, we will have representative of these people from the congressional districts. Okay. And that's how electoral college came into being. Fast forward to 2020, where information is available, if not overload of information is available. I don't know how effective the electoral college vote is right now.
So couple of things. A lot of the younger voters, I see a lot of resentment towards electoral college and potentially getting rid of it. Now, it is a part of the Constitution that electoral college is there. What would it take to change it? Is it just a pipe dream?
No. I always believe things happen depending how much of a political will somebody can create. Think about 200 years ago, ending slavery was a pipe dream. 80, 90 years ago, ending segregation was a pipe dream, right? Desegregation was just a pipe dream about 100 years ago. But enough people said, this is not what's going to work for us. Segregation is not going to work for us. And it wasn't the black people who said segregation is not going to work. It was the majority of the white people who said, as a country, this is just not going to work. And the majority rose up and they said, it's just not acceptable. And they had to desegregate America. And I think electoral college will be the same thing. If Trump wins today and Biden wins the popular votes, the way we are as a country, so divisive right now, younger generation who believes in different values, completely different values than what 65 plus generation have believed in for the last 30, 40 years. I think you will start seeing a movement to really get rid of electoral college. They're going to say every vote should count. Why should not we have enough information available to everybody that they can make a decision? And a lot of people, like I was in New York today and I was talking to people, and people were saying that today in New York, like, oh, listen, why should I vote? My vote doesn't count. And there's a real sentiment, right? I guarantee you up until, not now, because Democrats are active in Texas, but Democrats in Montana, they probably say the same thing. Why should I vote? My vote doesn't count. So there is that suppression of vote, not by any entity, but personal or lack of interest from a person to vote, because they say, my vote doesn't count, because no matter what I vote in my state is 70% Republicans. They're going to go to Republicans.
Okay.
So I think that's, you may see a change coming.
Okay. So my understanding from my studying of the Constitution, which was years ago, is that electoral college was put in place to stop an unqualified madman from taking the White House. Doesn't that describe 2016 to you? And isn't that the biggest argument for getting rid of electoral college?
And 2020.
Well, we're not there yet.
Well, think about this, right? Donald Trump ran the worst, at least in my opinion, ran a very, very bad presidency, almost an authoritarian regime that did whatever they wanted to do. With the knowledge, they still have to run the second time. Imagine now, if he does win and he knows he cannot run anymore, what's going to happen now?
Exactly. And I think that's the fear that a lot of people have. So I'm asking all of my guests today, and I'm going to ask you the exact same thing. Did you vote?
Absolutely, man. That's not an option in my house.
Good, good. Now, what are your predictions for today? I know it's early in the night, but if you were a gambling man, what would you tell me?
I would not go to the casino tonight.
So are you not confident? You're on the official Biden campaign team. Are you not confident that Biden will pull it off?
No, I don't think anybody's confident, right? Even Trump people are not confident.
Okay, well, no, they are confident. I mean, they're very confident. They probably are having parties since yesterday.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, look, they're Democrats that are having parties since yesterday, right? But if you're on the ground, if you have worked hard, and if you have kind of, you know, seen what's happening on the ground, and you've been monitoring all day, you know, I think I'll tell you, elections every year, every single cycle when there is elections, you've got to take it as your only shot to win, and you wait till the last vote is counted. You want your candidate to win, absolutely, that's always the case. But I do want to say one thing, that whether Biden wins, whether Trump wins, I do have to say the Pakistani American community has made huge strides this election cycle.
Good.
And that, I think, I want to commend everybody, because I know Pakistanis for Biden National Council is running operations in about 18 different states with about 1,100 volunteers.
Wow, that's a big number.
I've never seen
huge,
1,100 people, Pakistani people, trying to volunteer for anything. And that just goes to show the conscious of our community. So win or lose, whoever wins, our fight must continue. If Biden wins, our fight continues to hold them accountable for the promises. If Trump wins, our fight continues to make sure our communities is present at the table in their thoughts, and they're counting us, right? So our fight doesn't stop no matter who wins.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Any closing message for our viewers watching today?
Don't be discouraged if you're a Democrat. And if you're a Republican, I hope that you, because being in the winning party, put Pakistani American community on the table. Because it's important to me as a Democrat to make sure I represent and I hold the party accountable. And I've had this conversation with my Republican friends just 2 days ago, that you guys are in the administration for 4 years, and I haven't seen any quantifiable outcome for our community. But if you were to win tonight, please make sure that next 4 years we have quantifiable outcomes for our communities.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Athar.
Thanks.
Viewers,
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Viewers, अब इस शो को आगे बढ़ाते हैं, आगे चलते हैं. अभी तो हमारे पास एंटरटेनमेंट भी है. तकरीबन 1.5 घंटा गुजर चुका और हमने एंटरटेनर को मौका ही नहीं दिया कि वो भी आके कुछ बोलें. हम इलेक्शन में ही लगे हुए हैं. इलेक्शन की रात तो अभी बहुत लंबी चलेगी. तो अभी हम थोड़ी देर में एक काम करते हैं, अपडेट भी लेते हैं, थोड़ी सी ब्रेक भी लेते हैं, और फिर इसके बाद हम वापस आते हैं. एंड वी विल लिसन टू ग्रेट म्यूजिक फ्रॉम अमिता, एंड वी विल गो अहेड एंड गेट सम अपडेट्स ऑन द इलेक्शन एज वेल. एंड इतनी देर में मैं भी ज़रा न्यूज़ से कैचअप करता हूँ और आप लोगों से मिलता हूँ थोड़ी देर में. So keep watching One Solar TV. Keep watching this special election transmission. We've got a lot of guests that are still going to be coming in. We've got a lot of entertainment that's still going to be coming in. And we'll see you very soon.
Money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount Power.
I took all my friends out to dinner.
I paid off all my credit cards.
I took my whole family on a vacation.
I bought all this.
At Discount Power, saving you money on electricity is our business. What you do with it is yours. Great rates, great service. Simple. Visit discountpowertx.com today and save.
Indian Cuisine, the best restaurant in the heart of Frisco, where you can eat all you want under one roof. Sizzling food, mouth-watering appetizers, freshly made yummy butter chicken, balochi kadai, roasted chicken and lot more. Come with your loved ones and enjoy Dawat.
Hello everyone, this is Sam, quality with quantity only at Dawat. एक बार आए जरूर.
Dawat, quality with quantity.
What did you do with the money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount Power?
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to special election transmission on One Solar TV. अभी तो रात, अबे समझिए अभी तो शुरू ही नहीं हुई. The night is still very, very young. मेरे पास बहुत guests हैं, बहुत entertainment है, बहुत update है. By the way, one update: NBC News has already called that the lower end of the House, it remains Democratic. So Nancy Pelosi, who will be seeking re-election for Speaker, will likely keep her seat as the Speaker of the House. And so that's really not much going on because that was expected going in. We are expecting Senate to change hands. So Mitch McConnell, who's already been projected the winner tonight in Kentucky, whether he gets to keep his seat as the Senate Majority Leader, that's still up in contention. Right now there's 45 Democratic senators, 2 that are independent that caucus with Democrats. So that's 47 and 53 Republican senators. It looks like the night will end with 49 with 2 independents who will hopefully caucus with the Democrats. ये सब तो चलता रहेगा. हमारे साथ आज हैं बहुत talented singer जिनको आप लोगों ने Thursday को सुना था, अमिता, and she's going to be entertaining us tonight as well. क्योंकि देखिए मैं तो आपको बोर कर दूंगा बातें कर करके, थोड़ी entertainment भी होनी चाहिए, right? तो चलते हैं, सुनते हैं अमिता को.
Hello. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. आज आप क्या सुनाने वाली हैं हमें?
Gee, I've got a beautiful song from the 90s just to ease the evening. I know it's a very tense night.
Yes.
So hopefully the viewers will enjoy the song.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. चाहे बना के आंचल तुमको लपेटू तन पे ओ हो जी चाहे बना के आंचल तुमको लपेटू तन पे कभी ये सोचूं मैं उड़ जाऊं तुमको लिए गगन पे और भी कुछ है दिल के इरादे क्या कहना ये पगला है समझाने से समझे ना ये पगला है समझाने से समझे ना दिल दीवाना बिन सजना के माने ना ये पगला है समझाने से समझे ना ये पगला है समझाने से समझे ना Thank you very much.
वाह जी अमिता जी आप तो छा गई. What a song selection and of course amazing performance. इसके साथ अब हम आगे चलते जाते हैं. I'm going to give you a quick update on the electoral college. Joe Biden is at 131 electoral college votes that have already been accounted for him. And Donald Trump is at 108 electoral college votes accounted for him. अभी जो swing states की हम थोड़ी सी बात करेंगे, फिर हम अपने अगले guest को लाएंगे. Actually, I'm going to have him come here and come to the stage with me, so we can actually talk a little bit more in detail. लेकिन उससे पहले, let me give you quick updates. जो भी अभी swing states हैं, they all seem to be leaning towards right a little bit right now. There's 3 states, Arizona, Iowa, and New Hampshire, that are actually going towards Biden so far. Like our last guest told us, Athar, ke abhi bhi there's a lot of voting left. There's a lot of votes left that are going to be counted. So it's going to take some time. But so far, Florida, Trump seems to have a very comfortable lead with about 400,000 votes, 51% to 48%. And that's a really big margin in the state of Florida. Georgia, I mean, it's even bigger numbers, 55% right now, Trump versus 44% Biden. That's with 61% of the votes counted so far. Iowa, it's the other way around, 56% going for Biden and 42% going for Trump right now. Now that's 6 electoral college votes that are being accounted for there. Michigan, which is another state that I know Biden has a lot of hopes to actually get. And in Michigan, Trump is winning by a margin of over 10 points, actually 55% to 43%. So a very, very wide margin in Michigan. Ohio was actually another state that coming in this morning, Trump was leading by only 3 points. But right now, with 87% of the votes counted, Trump has a very comfortable lead of about 6 points, 46% for Biden versus almost 53% going for Trump. So a lot of these states are going to be changing as the counties come in, depending on which counties have been counted. So far, for example, Texas, some of the counties that have been counted, that have already reported, are some of the larger counties. For example, areas around Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Dallas, all of these major metropolitan areas that, El Paso, for example, that have already reported in. That is why it's swaying the vote towards Biden a little bit, even though Trump still leads by about 100,000 or so votes, actually 400,000 votes here in the state of Texas. So we're going to see what else is going to happen here in the state of Texas. With me, I want to welcome my next guest actually to the stage, and that's Dr. Kamran Rao. He's the president of PACPAC, which is a political action committee and a political organization that helps, that actually conveys and relays the Pakistani community and the Pakistani message towards a lot of the politicians, whether they're Democratic or Republican. And we're going to be talking to him, so please help me welcome Dr. Kamran. Dr. Saab, assalamu alaikum. How are you? So first of all, I want to get your input on the 131 to 108 electoral votes going on. What are your thoughts? How is tonight going to end?
Well, it is a little bit disappointing, I have to admit. That's not what we're looking forward to. I think, particularly since it's Pakistani American TV, I would say that Pakistani Americans, first time they came out and they were really politically active. We had campaign Pakistanis for Biden. We have a lot of people involved in Muslims for Biden. Actually, if you see the list of like 100,000 bundlers out of 800, I think there are 40 or 50 Pakistani Americans.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
and 8 or 10 of close friends of mine. So this is like simply disappointing at this point.
So it looks like we might have a re-election of the incumbent. How is that going to impact policy towards Pakistan?
So now I will take it. So I will answer you. Before that, I will tell you who we are.
Okay.
So because then it will make sense. So I am a president of a PAC. It's Pakistani American Political Action Committee, PAC, and we are bipartisan. We support the candidates who support the policies. Those promote civil liberty. Those are good with immigrants. They don't hate anyone. They respect the equal rights. They respect the opinion of the people. So when we do that, we don't care someone is Republican, someone is Democrat, someone is in between. So this gives us a lot of power. And we have champions in Republicans, we are champions in Democrats. And if you remember last year when Kashmir 370 revocation happened, PAC was the only PAC. We had Washington Day on the Hill. We were the only PAC who was able to engage Republican and Democrat. We were able to have a letter written by a great Republican leader who just won again, Jim Banks, and a great Democrat leader, she's gonna win, inshallah, Susan Wild. They wrote a letter to American ambassador to UN that they should intervene and solve what's happening. So you can see how we work. And then we went to Hill. We were able to have 35 signatures on that letter from congressmen from both sides of the aisles. So going back to this, that we all already, being a minority, I don't think we should keep all the eggs in one basket. And if you see APAC, if you see IMPAC, which is Indian, they don't do it like that. Even though you see their VP is Indian, but still you see like a big majority is supporting them. So now I'm going to answer that thing. I don't think it's going to affect much the policy, because we already have champions in a Foreign Affairs Committee. So we supported Joaquin Castro from San Antonio, and he's vice chair of Foreign Affairs Committee, and he's poised to become the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Really? So we look into that, and then we have same way we have people from Republicans. Like my friend, actually, I just got the text, Mike Turner from Ohio, he won. Right. And he's going to be most likely chair of Armed Services Committee. Very nice. So that I want to tell community that, look, it's okay. I know it's so disappointing. I know it's not easy to take. I know we worked hard for that. But at the end of the day, I think we won. Why won? Why? How we won? You came out. So many Pakistani Americans, they went to elections in council, in mayor, at state level. They got engaged into PACs, new PACs emerged, and we worked closely. We worked with PAC, collaborated with AP PAC for Pakistani for Biden. We collaborated with American United PAC for certain things. So it makes us united. This thing makes us united as a nation, as PAC. That is not me. We knew we went towards a bigger goal, and I think we should stay like that. Okay. So we won actually. We did not lose, because once we are able to bring our people out of their homes, once we are able to make them emphasize how important it is to become part of the political process, we won right there.
Very nice, very nice. And lastly, so your prediction, how do you think the night will end tonight? Do you think that the incumbent gets to keep his job, or will we have a new president?
So I think So since I was driving to join you, I have not been updated. But as far as I know, the Pennsylvania and Michigan, they have not counted mail-in ballots.
Right.
These are important states.
Exactly.
I'm not sure what is Arizona final, but Arizona is an important state.
It has not been called yet.
Called yet.
Right.
So I think there is some hope.
Okay.
So we can sleep very well. On top of that, we already got Congress.
Yes.
We are most likely gonna get Senate.
Yes.
So I think it's not bad.
Okay. Well, and have you voted?
Of course.
And who did you vote for?
I voted for Biden. I voted for Candace Johnson.
Okay.
I voted for Sabrina, and I voted for. I don't remember all of this.
But that sounds good. It seems
Yes.
like you picked a lot of the right people.
Exactly. I have faith in them. I don't care they win or they lose. I am not aware of the results, and this is what we do. Actually, not only me, ParkPack Dallas chapter, we had this I Vote campaign, and we have engaged community, and we have been able to bring people out for vote.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your busy
Thank
schedule.
you so much for giving me a chance to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Kamran. And that was Dr. Kamran, president of ParkPack, who talked to you about the importance of voting, the importance of minorities being involved, and his predictions of how the night is going to go. As you can see on our screen, we're still reporting 131 electoral college votes, and that might be updated here as I get some more information from my sources. No, we're still at 131 and 108. It is going to be a long night, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of mail-in ballots, and a lot of the mail-in ballots are going to be leaning Democrat. As a matter of fact, a statistic that I saw today, 2/3 of the early votes were for President Biden in a lot of these swing states. However, 2/3 of the election day vote, today's votes, were going for President Trump in a lot of these swing states. So once the mail-in ballots are counted, once the early votes are truly counted, and that depends on every state, by the way. Some states do count early votes early, but don't release the results until Election Day. Some states don't even start counting them until all votes are cast. And then some states will actually start counting tomorrow morning. So we're going to start seeing how the early voting and the impact of early voting is going to sway what we do. So I've got, and we're running actually quite a bit behind on my guest list. So I've got, are we ready with our next guest, Binaji? Are we ready with our next guest, Binaji? Okay, so let me give you a quick update on what's going on the swing states, and then we'll go to our next guest here in just a little bit. So let's take a look at actually the state of Texas and what's going on. We've got, so far, Donald Trump, again, is winning by 51% of the votes in the state of Texas, versus Joe Biden has claimed 47% of the votes. That's a difference of about 400,000 votes. Remember, that was the exact margin that Trump won by in 2016. So even though a lot of people, a lot of strategists, a lot of analysts, and even correspondents like myself were really looking to see that gap narrow of 400,000 votes between 2016 and 2020, I think we may be disappointed unless if a lot of those metropolitan areas come back with higher number of votes for Biden. There's a lot of eyes on the state of Texas. It's not just because we're in Texas, but there was a lot of effort by the Democratic Party to turn the state of Texas blue. There were a lot of slogans. For example, Texas is not a red state; it's a non-voting state. Today, with as many votes as there have been cast, I think you can, if the margins remain the same, you can put that slogan to rest, because it tells you that Texas is certainly a red state for sure, with about 400,000 people voting so far, or 400,000 gap margin so far in the state of Texas. Mitch McConnell has been called for his re-election, so he's going to be going back to the Senate. It was a very hyped race, because the Democrats used it to raise a lot of money, since he was the Senate Majority Leader. It depends on how the Senate goes today as to whether he gets to keep his job as the Senate Majority Leader, or we may have a new Majority Leader at some point. So we're still at 131-8. I believe Maryland is one that we're calling, but I believe we've already called Maryland for Actually, Maryland is not red, or maybe I'm having trouble reading the monitor that far. I'm getting old. So we'll take, Missouri. So it's not MD, it's MO. Missouri, we're calling for Donald Trump, and that's at 10 electoral votes, and that is with a very, very 66% of the votes coming in, and with a very heavy margin, Donald Trump wins that with 58% to 40% so far. So are we going to the next guest? I do want to tell, I do want to actually bring up a quick sponsor of, a lot of these things are not possible without our sponsors, and tonight's sponsor, the biggest one, is Discount Power. So I want to, if you are looking for electric rates, well, go to discountpower.com and they will take care of you. I guess we're going towards music next, as I'm being pointed to Amita, and so we're going to hear a song from her.
So I'm going to sing a very beautiful Alka Yagnik song from the movie Zakhm. So hope you like it. आज की रात जो मैं सो जा गली में आज चांद निकला जाने कितने दिनों के बाद गली में आज चांद निकला मैंने तुमको आते देखा अपनी जान को जाते देखा जाने फिर क्या हुआ नहीं यार जाने फिर क्या हुआ नहीं यार गली में आज चांद निकला गली में आज चांद निकला गली में आज चांद निकला जाने कितने दिनों के बाद गली में आज चांद निकला
Wow, Jiva, Amita ji, very, very good job, and thank you for being a part of the show. Actually, there's a lot of updates on the election front, though without wasting too much time, I'm going to get right into that. We are looking at, so far, there's a lot of new states that have been called, and I want to keep our viewers posted on that. We're looking at total electoral votes for Joe Biden. Associated Press have called 209 electoral votes for Joe Biden, with 112 being called for Donald Trump so far. Remember, it's a race to 270. Now, with those 209, there's a lot of big states that have been called, and that's really a big deal. So, for example, California, with 55 electoral votes, has been called by AP for Joe Biden. So that's why you see that big leap. We were in 130s not that long ago to now 209. Oregon has been called. So a lot of the West Coast has reported, with 55% of the votes reported. In Oregon, Joe Biden is winning with 64% of the votes, and that's been called with 7 electoral votes. Washington, the state of Washington, that has 12 electoral votes going to Joe Biden, according to AP. Arizona is still up in the air, with Joe Biden leading 53 to 45. Okay. The production team is going to tell me who my next guest is here in just a second. We've actually got a couple of guests, but the production team will decide as to who they're telling me. Okay, so I know who my next guest is. We're going to go to that here in just a second. ये तो मैं आपको updates और results देता ही रहूँगा. Actually, my next guest, I'm very, very excited about this one. Let me know when he's on Zoom with us. This is Fayaz Hussain. He's actually a member of the Muslim Democratic Caucus. He's a political activist, but my favorite, he's an economist. So Fayaz, how are you doing? And number one, thank you for being on One Solar TV with us. Fayaz, can you hear me?
Okay, I'm unmuting myself. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for inviting me for your show. This is great, a very important evening.
Thank you so much. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit on the economic front. There's a lot of, actually the main argument that a lot of people are making for re-election of President Trump is economy. It's the stock market setting records, and it's their 401ks doing good. What do you think, is that a valid argument in favor of the incumbent?
Well, stock market is never a measure of economic strength. That is, especially, it's more these days. Stock market is more of the investments and the business side, where things are, where people are making money from the stock market. A lot of it's speculation, and a lot of those things are not really real money. So they are not a measure of the strength of any economy.
Okay.
You know, the main their macroeconomic indicators with GNP, GDP, all those kind of things. You know, the wages and the lot of the total consumption. Those are the measure of any healthy economy.
Okay. By the way, Fayaz bhai, I do want to tell you, as part of the interruption, we can't see your video. So if you want to turn that on, our viewers will be able to see. see that beautiful face. There we go.
Okay,
and you're wearing
all right.
red.
All right. I thought since I'm not able to see yours, so I guess that's all right.
Well, it's an
But-
unfair trade. What can I say?
Yes, yes. But
so you're wearing red today. Is that indicative of how this election is going to go?
no, actually, it's my reading glasses, and sometimes I have to read. So especially when I'm talking to you, I have to be very careful and very, very prepared. So I know you love talking on economics.
Well, we appreciate you doing that.
I don't want to say anything that is that comes out wrong.
We appreciate that, and here we want to make sure, even if we're a little bit slower than anybody else, we want to make sure we're giving accurate and actionable
Yes.
information. So the unemployment rate is at, until coronavirus, it was at the lowest, and it was trending down. Now coronavirus has hit, and you have a president who's actually boasting economic or job growth numbers, month-to-month numbers. Now, is that real data, or did we just lose so many jobs during coronavirus that, hey, you have nowhere to go but bounce back?
No, the data was real. It's not that data is not faulty, but you see, there's no improvement that he was talking about before coming to be president. The growth rate will be 6% or 7% or something. He got a very healthy economy. With when Barack Obama came to White House, we are losing 850,000 jobs a month, so, and the unemployment rate was skyrocketing, and we didn't even have the clear idea of what exactly the real unemployment rate is, because a lot of people were shifting out from labor market and they were not counted in the unemployment rate. Their GDP growth rate was negative 8.5. You probably remember those days. And I really see that was the challenge, was one of the Great Depression that was left by Bush team and Barack Obama. They strengthened the economy, not just they raised the GDP, they strengthened the foundation of the economy with a lot of, especially in the banking and other industries where all those corporations, auto industry was one example. The insurance, AIG was not funding any bankruptcy. You see what happens when you go for bankruptcy or restructuring. Typically, and I since I was in the midst of that, I was working for United Airlines, and we were operating in bankruptcy. So around 2006, 2005, around that time. So what happens when a company goes into bankruptcy? The bank invests in those companies, and when these corporations, they come out of bankruptcy, banks get their share, of the restructuring. So, but in this 2008 time, no, banks didn't have liquidity. They could not really put money in industries to bail them out.
Okay.
And because all their money was stuck in housing market, and that was a big. Even AIG, which is the insurer of banks, they were in bankruptcy. So. I mean,
2008 was a dark time.
I believe 2007, 2008. It was, horrible time.
Yes, and S&P was down to 650 and Dow was down to 6,500. So it's not really a fair comparison to compare the Obama.
Even if you compare, the stock market was at 7,500 around that when Obama and Biden came, around that time, so around the end of Bush time. And it went up to 19,500. So to about 12,000, stock market went up by that. I mean, in percentage wise, more than doubled. And since Trump got the stock market at 19,000, he took it to 27,000, 28,000.
Yeah.
So it was not doubled or any of those things, So It's just that it was a good economy, but he inherited a good economy. You know?
Exactly. Is there anybody that, in your opinion, as an economist, that is better for the U.S. economy between the two candidates that we're looking at?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Is there one candidate that you think would be better for the economy coming in?
You see, this debate is an ongoing debate, and this is it's basically the basic philosophy of between the difference of basic philosophy in Republican and Democrats.
Okay.
And they both claim that they are better than the other. But one approach is bottom up approach, where you give money to poor and they will invest, they will consume, their consumption will turn into investment and employment and all those things. The other one, the Republican one, is trickle down theory that they believe in. They give money to rich and they will invest money and that will create employment. You know, so those kind of things that is going on for centuries, you know, it's not, and it will not settle in our lifetime.
Okay.
But
what is your personal opinion?
But recently, when you are looking at the labor productivity is skyrocketing, you know, it's like one person, when he could only make one thing in 6 months. Now, with the help of machines, that one person make 50 things in 6 months, you know? So the labor productivity has gone up. So the production is not really that big a problem. The problem is consumption. If people don't have money, they won't be able to buy things. And if they don't buy things, the producer won't produce those things. And the wholesaler will not order those things. The retailers will not replenish their stock because people don't have money. You know, that was the biggest argument during the Great Depression also, because people didn't have money to buy things. We had things in the stores, but nobody could buy it. So
sure.
that kind of ran a vicious cycle of disinvestment. And since it was, when retailers are not able to sell, they will not order the wholesaler, and the wholesaler will not replenish their stocks, and that means the production will go down. See, that means unemployment will go down.
Fayyaz bhai, I'm going to hold your feet to fire here. So
yeah,
which one, I said, I'm going to hold your feet to fire here. Which one of the two would you think would be better for the economy in the near future?
I'm a Democrat, and okay. I believe in democratic philosophy. I mean, by my, you know, bottom of my heart.
Okay.
Because it's not just the economy. When people are not doing good, don't care whatever the stock market is doing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, that's
yeah.
what I wanted to hear from your point of view.
Absolutely.
Now, you're also very involved with the Muslim Democratic Caucus. How
yes.
have the Muslim vote mattered in this 2020 election?
Okay. So what we did in Texas this year, especially, we knew that we don't really have enough, bandwidth or resources to be effective in the whole Texas. So what we did was we picked 4 congressional races and 7 state house races, and we pulled the Muslim Muslim voters list. So we looked into the Muslim voters list. It's a gigantic list, about 2 million people in four districts, and we looked at each name. We filtered those names for Muslim names. So we have a list of Muslims in those 4 districts. Then when we have that was our foundational resource, and we started making phone calls to them. So we did 51,000 and around 40,000 or so phone calls that we made. Then we have, like a couple of days ago, we sent robocalls to those people also.
So do you think the Muslim voters actually mattered in this 2020 election?
Absolutely. You know, where I don't know what the result would be in this one, in these races, but our candidates are doing very well.
Okay.
Because of our little 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. Because you see, Muslim community generally is living around big urban counties, and that's where our concentration is.
Very nice.
So, like Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, these areas. So, in urban areas where some of the places we have, like in Fort Bend County, we are about, Asians generally are about 14% of the total population. Like, look at Collin County. We found about 18,000 Muslim voters in Collin County, which is almost like about 5%, 5.5% of total voters.
Yeah.
These are not, I'm not talking about the population, these are registered voters.
Yeah, and Collin County, I know somewhere from 70 to 85% of the Muslim voters had voted. So big number as well, and I know a lot of it is turning blue.
So we tracked all our the people in the list. We tracked their votes, and 65% had voted in early voting.
Wow.
I don't know about the numbers in today's election, but 65% where the state average was 57% in early voting.
Very nice.
So we take pride in this, that we helped our candidates, and that's how you basically when you show them that you are a number, they come and respect you. That's how you empower your community.
Very nice. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Sure.
Fayaz Bhai, we appreciate you. That was again Fayaz Hussain. He's part of the Muslim Democratic Caucus. More importantly, he's an economist. He shared his economic perspective with us, as well as talked about his efforts on the Muslim Democratic Caucus. I'm going to give you a very, very brief update. We're running behind with a lot of our guests, and I don't want to keep them waiting. So I'm going to give you a brief update, and then we're going to go right on to, as you can see on the screen, we're looking at 209 Electoral College votes for Joe Biden and 118 for Trump. However, at this moment, it is easier for Trump to get to 270 than it is for Joe Biden. The states that have not counted so far that are leaning towards Biden are Arizona, for example, with 11. You've got Minnesota with 10 Electoral College votes. You've got Iowa with 6. And you've got Maine. And that's about it. Those are the only leaning Democrat states that have not been called yet. So it does seem like a likely victory for Donald Trump. Again, the night is young, but it seems like a tough road ahead for Joe Biden. What has not been called for, for Donald Trump is the state of Texas, for example, with 38 Electoral College votes. That has not been counted. Montana, which is really a solid Republican state, President Trump seems to be winning there. 3 electoral votes, 50% versus 47%. You've got Georgia. Florida still, we're saying that it's too close to call, but with 98% of the votes in, it's 51 to 48 with President Trump leading. You've got North Carolina, which, as we mentioned earlier, North Carolina is a must, and Pennsylvania is actually a must if Joe Biden wants to take on this presidency. Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes. As of this moment, 47% of the votes are reporting, and you've got a 55 to 42 margin between Trump and Biden, with Donald Trump leading. So it's going to be a very, very long night. I'll go through some of the other swing states here in a little bit. What I do want to do is I want to ask my production team if my next guest is ready. Okay, so we're going to go on a Zoom call, actually. And let me know when my guest is ready on Zoom call, and then we'll go ahead and take them on. In the meantime, until we get the next guest on, we are calling Utah, as you can see on your screen, for President Trump, and we're calling California for Joe Biden. I don't think either one of those is really a surprise for anybody. Nevada is not reporting at all, and that's going to potentially play Alaska, Hawaii. Of course, we don't really have any update on as well. We're looking at some of the other swing states where Donald Trump is leading. Ohio with 18 electoral votes. Ohio is actually a really, really big state for Joe Biden to win as well. That's a swing state that I know Joe Biden had a lot to do with as well. So Is my next guest on, or do I keep giving a few more updates? Okay, so let me actually, there's a very important thing that I have not been keeping our viewers up to date on, and that is Senate. Senate is huge tonight, and it's actually a really big big part of our government that's actually, the Senate is the reason why we've got a 6th Supreme Court justice just days before the major election. So in Arizona, we've got, with 72% of the votes reporting, we've got a Democrat, Mark Kelly.
Right now within the next 1 minute, okay?
Okay, I can hear my echo, okay. So in Arizona, we've got Mark Kelly, who's leading, and he's gonna be a Democrat. We've got Iowa, Teresa Greenfield, she leads with 70% of the votes reporting, so that's likely gonna be a blue seat right now. It is predicted or projected that Senate is going to go 49-49 with 2 independents, and those 2 independents typically caucus with Democrats. So Democrats may actually have a majority. So production team, can I have my next guest on Skype and on monitor, please? Awesome. So my next guest is an attorney in Houston with the law firm Zachariah & Associates. He's the managing attorney for the law firm. He's been practicing for 29 years. I'm sorry I gave away your age here, Ali Bhai, as you put on your reading glasses. And he is somebody that I look up to. He's very smart, and I'm excited to have you on the show. So first, thank you for taking the time for being on the show, Ali Bhai.
Thank you so much. And it's not a problem if you show my age, because I think everybody knows you're only 5 years younger than I am.
I won't take that one too hard then. Ali Bhai, I wanted to specifically actually really lean very heavily on your expertise as an immigration lawyer. So I'm not even, I'm gonna lay this question to you. Is there one candidate that you think would make your job easier as an immigration attorney out of the 2 that we're having to pick from today?
So it's not really about my job. I think it's more about who would make U.S. a better place to live, a better place for people to come and visit, a better place for people to work. And given the policies that Trump administration has placed, I would say Joe Biden would be a much better president in that respect.
Okay. Now, the policies of this administration have been pretty harsh, is the word that I want to use. I know that you had one particular client that was actually picked up, and it took you days. Can you shed a little bit of light on this client and kind of the backstory for our viewers that may not be aware?
Sure. So shortly after Trump was inaugurated, he issued the first Muslim ban, which was struck down by the Supreme Court. Then he issued a second Muslim ban, which essentially said that people of these 5 or 6 countries that are predominantly Muslim cannot come to the United States. And then the Supreme Court shut that second Muslim ban down. And then Trump issued a third Muslim ban, which was upheld by the US Supreme Court. After the third Muslim ban was kept in place by the US Supreme Court, what the Immigration Service started doing is they started looking at every Muslim coming from the Middle East or South Asia, looking at their applications, looking at their documents more carefully. And in that sweep, one of my clients, who was 15 years old or 16 years of age at that time, came to the US. He was stopped at the airport simply because of the policies relating to Muslim ban. He was kept at the airport for about close to 36 hours.
Wow.
And then because he was a minor, he had to be placed in a juvenile center. But the problem was, even though he landed in Houston, immigration did not or could not find a spot for him in Houston or even Dallas or San Antonio for that matter. They flew him to Chicago, and they had him situated in a juvenile shelter in Chicago. Mind you, when they did all of this, they did not notify the family or me as the attorney of record at that time. And we were just scrambling to find out what had happened with this kid and where he was.
So they took a juvenile and they put him in a juvenile detention center. And even though you were the attorney of record, it took a lot of effort for you to find him.
Right. Now, to be fair, from the juvenile center, then they put him in a foster home. It's more like a hostel or a dormitory where you have 30 or 40 kids placed with a nonprofit organization that gives them a place to sleep and eat and maybe attend a class here or there. But yes, even once he was transferred to the nonprofit organization's facility, he was only allowed to talk to his family once a week for about 10 minutes. So these rules, however they're designed, they're not being or were not being implemented at that time properly, and I'm sure they're still not being implemented properly, and it takes a long time to find out where these kids are. I'm sure you know that under the Trump's policy of zero tolerance, there are about 500 kids that were stopped at the border with their parents. They were separated from their parents. These kids were then placed in government facilities, and now the government does not know where the parents are because most of these parents have been deported. So the kids are in the U.S., but the government doesn't know where the parents are.
Yeah, it's about 545 kids to be exact.
Right.
I have a couple of questions for you that I think are probably near and dear to your heart. What is your message as an immigrant yourself, and then as someone that represents a lot of immigrants, when you hear people that may have never dealt with the immigration system talk about follow the laws or follow the rules, and then those rules are changed, for example, in asylum cases, or as the Muslim ban that we just talked about a few minutes ago?
Well, so first, I think most people do not have an idea of what the rules are. They think if you take a passport, if you're from Mexico or El Salvador, for example, you get a passport in your country, you come to the border, and the U.S. immigration will let you in. Well, that's not the case. In order to be able to come to the U.S. through legal channels, it takes years and years and years and a lot of paperwork. And most of these individuals that come through the border would not even qualify under that process because they would have to be sponsored by somebody in their family, or they would have to be sponsored by an employer, which is a lengthy process. For example, if you are in Mexico and you want to move to the US and you have a family member that wants to sponsor you, the wait time could be 30 years. Just imagine that. You know, you get sponsored at age 10, but you got to wait until you turn 40 before you can come to the US. Same thing goes for India or Pakistan, for that matter.
Wow.
If you get sponsored by a relative, it could be 15 years before you are able to come to the US. So the first problem that we have is we don't have a legal system that allows or encourages legal immigration. We've closed all the doors. And once you close the front door, guess what's going to happen? People are going to try to come through the back door because it's not just that these immigrants want to come to the US, it's also that US businesses want these immigrants to come to the US so they can have a source of labor and they can continue to provide their products or services through the labor of these immigrants. So we have a system that discourages and closes the front door and forces employer and the immigrants to come through the back door. And we have the system we have because of that.
Yeah, very nice. So and the next question that I really wanted to, again, lean on your legal expertise. Right now, you talked about the Muslim ban being ruled against by the Supreme Court twice before it was upheld the third time. That was in a 5-4 vote with the notorious RBG still on the bench. And a lot of times these justices, because of the way that Supreme Court works, can sway votes. Now the court is 6-3. The most moderate person on the right side is Chief Justice Roberts. How do you, if the Muslim ban were to happen today, would it be upheld in your just wildest opinion?
Well, so the third time Trump administration placed the Muslim ban, it was upheld.
Right.
So I have no doubt in my mind that if a new Muslim ban or a broader Muslim ban was placed, or say a broader Hispanic ban for that matter, or a broader black ban for that matter, based on race, religion, color, is imposed by the Trump administration, the Supreme Court would definitely rubber stamp it and say that President Trump has that authority.
Very nice. Or very unfortunate, I should say. And this is my question that I'm posing to a lot of people that have the legal expertise. This is the peaceful transition of power is really a cornerstone in American history. This is the first time that an incumbent, as far as I know, that an incumbent is openly saying he may not accept the results of this election. To anybody that engages in political activism, that's a really big deal. What would happen if things turn around and Joe Biden is the winner, and then we have a president that says, "I don't accept the results"? He's still the commander-in-chief. What in your that would be a constitutional crisis. What, in your opinion, would happen in that case?
So I think we have to separate two separate situations out. One situation is where the states have certified the election results, and Joe Biden, through the state Secretary of State's authorities, is certified to have more than 270 electoral votes. Well, in that situation, if Trump still says that I've won the election and I'm not leaving, then the Secret Service would escort him out. Okay. No doubt about that. On the other hand, if the states, each state's Secretary of State does not certify the election results because there's a recount or because there are lawsuits pending in state courts or federal courts, in that situation, it gets much more difficult because there's no legal winner of the election declared at that stage. So what happens in that situation? Either a lawsuit can be filed by either candidate for recount, and then the states would have to do recount and then certify the elections through the Secretary of State's office after the recount is done. However, if the recount is not done, or a candidate does not accept the recount results and the case is still pending in court, then I believe it's either December 8th or December 13th, by one of those two dates, the state legislature can appoint members of Electoral College, and they can choose a person to be on the Electoral College, knowing that that person would vote for Trump, even though the election results up to that point would suggest that Biden has won. So the state legislature does not have to follow whatever the known results are by that time. So that's one scenario where the state legislature could say, we don't care who's won the election in our state, we're going to appoint our own Electoral College member and then let him vote for this or that person, whoever they choose. The other confusion is that the governors in a lot of states also have the power to appoint Electoral College members. So you would have a situation where the U.S. Congress would have to pick and choose whether to accept the Electoral College member that is appointed by the governor or the Electoral College member that is appointed by the state legislature. So that's one scenario. The other problem is that even once you get to the Electoral College, and if they vote, and if different people vote for different persons, if no one gets the majority, then you have another problem. Because now, how do you decide? I mean, who gets to decide? So this would definitely be a constitutional crisis, but I think it only comes in play if the state legislatures and the governors choose to create this crisis. The governors and the state legislatures can decide that so far the election results show us X, Y, Z, and we're going to follow the people's mandate, and we're going to appoint an Electoral College member who's going to vote in the Electoral College on the basis of X, Y, Z.
If there's no 270, doesn't it go to the House for it to be a 2/3 vote? And I mean, my understanding is, and if there's not a 2/3 vote, then the Speaker of the House may be the president. Is my understanding mistaken in that?
Well, so if by January the 20th, through this chaotic process, if no president has been declared, then the Speaker of the House could be declared president at that time. But I can promise you that I don't see Nancy Pelosi becoming the president of the United States, because I think Republicans would rather go and have a civil war than make her the president.
I didn't think I would see President Trump in 2015, but hey, here we are. So I'm going to hold you to your words if that scenario comes up in January 20th.
Hey, hold me to it. Because I think because remember, in the House, each state gets one vote. It's if there's no electoral college based on the popular vote by each state, then the House gets to vote on it. But then it's one vote per state.
Okay.
It's not, for example, Texas has 36 members of the House.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have 36 votes in the House, because then that would be the same as the Electoral College.
Yeah, exactly, and it's 2/3 of the states have to vote for whoever the person is. Perfect. Well, we appreciate your time and your analysis today. Thank you so much for being with us, and that was Ali Zakaria. He's an attorney with Zakaria & Associates, the managing attorney. If you're watching this, you can tell why I have the utmost respect for this gentleman. The in-depth detail that he took us with is really what our viewers needed right now. With this, we have not taken a break in a little bit. I'm actually going to go ahead and go for a break. And in that time, we're going to get updated. We're going to give you a lot of updates. Florida is about to be called, so be ready for that. We're still at 209 and 115. So production team, please go ahead and go to break, and we'll be right back.
What did you do with the money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount Power?
I took all my friends out to dinner.
I paid off all my credit cards.
I took my whole family on a vacation.
I bought all this.
At Discount Power, saving you money on electricity is our business. What you do with it is yours. Great rates, great service. Simple. Visit discountpowertx.com today and save.
Dawat Indian Cuisine, the best restaurant in the heart of Frisco, where you can eat all you want under one roof. Sizzling food, mouth-watering appetizers, freshly made yummy butter chicken, balochi kadai, roasted chicken, and lot more. Come with your loved ones and enjoy Dawat.
Hello everyone, this is Sam, quality with quantity only at Dawat. एक बार आए जरूर.
Dawat, quality with quantity.
What did you do with the money you saved on electricity by
Good evening and welcome back. I'm going to sing a song by Shreya Ghoshal, Jadoo Hai Nasha Hai. Hope you enjoy it.
जादू है नशा है मदहोशिया तुझको भुला के अब जाऊं कहाँ जादू है नशा है मदहोशिया तुझको भुला के अब जाऊं कहाँ देखती है जिस तरह से तेरी नजरें मुझे मैं खुद को छुपाऊं कहाँ जादू है नशा है मदहोशिया तुझको भुला के अब जाऊं कहाँ देखती है जिस तरह से तेरी नजरें मुझे मैं खुद को छुपाऊं कहाँ जादू है नशा है मदहोशिया तुझको भुला के अब जाऊं कहाँ तुझको भुला के अब जाऊं कहाँ
Amita ji, great job. And viewers, I hope you enjoyed this song. Amita ji is extremely talented. तो वो जब भी इस सेट पर आती हैं या जब भी वन सोलर टीवी पर आती हैं हमारी शाम को 4 चांद लग जाते हैं. So we appreciate having her here. मेरा काम लेकिन है आप लोगों को पॉलिटिक्स की बात करना, आप लोगों को इन्फॉर्मेशन देना, आप लोगों को उसकी तरफ ज़्यादा ध्यान देना कि हो क्या रहा है आज शाम को और आज रात को. So Senate so far, there's 45 seats that have been called for the Republican Party with 15 seats won today. For the Democratic Party, 9 seats have been won today, and there's still a lot of seats that we're waiting on the results, and we'll let you know as the results come in. So for Senate right now, the count is 45-42, with a lot of the seats still coming in here in just a little bit. What the expectation is, what the projection is, at the end of the night, you'll have 49-49 with the Senate. One news channel, and I want to bring that up, has already called Florida, which is Fox News. However, AP has not called Florida yet. At One Solar TV, we do expect Florida to go to President Trump. However, we will do our due diligence, and we do not call any states until we have double confirmation. So we're waiting on that second confirmation. So no drum roll yet, but we're waiting on that second confirmation. But President Trump has a very healthy lead in the state of Florida of about 400,000 votes. Right now, President Trump seems to be ahead in every state except for 2 that are swing states. One is Arizona. Vice President Biden has a pretty strong and healthy lead on, and the other one is New Hampshire with 4 electoral college votes. So you've got Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, which I know there was a lot of impact in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania specifically, you've got 52% of the votes reporting. Mind you, none of these are mail-in ballots, but with 52% of the votes, President Trump is winning by about a margin of about 15%. And that's a huge margin to overcome in a state, even with mail-in ballots. You've got Texas, President Trump winning with about 6 points. The reason I'm giving you all of these states, they're not called yet, but they're leaning towards President Trump. So far, at One Solar TV, we have called 209 electoral college votes for Joe Biden, 118 electoral college votes for Donald Trump. But the road to 270 seems easier for President Trump at this point than for Joe Biden. A lot of the major left-leaning states have already been called, whereas a lot of the major right-leaning states, for example, Texas, have not yet been called. So if you add those electoral college votes to President Trump's count, then you're going to see a pretty big change and a pretty big impact to the electoral college map. But we're only calling what we can so far, what we have double confirmation for. With that, I'm going to ask the production team to get my next guest on air. And the next guest is also a member of the Pak Pack. Say that again. Okay, so Dr. Sabah, she's actually a member of the Pak Pack as well. She is, and I'm going to tell you exactly who my next guest is before we go on to exactly who it is. Okay, so Dr. Sabah, you've joined us before I could get your bio on. One, thank you so much for joining us on One Solar TV on this very hectic election night. How's your night going so far?
So far, so good. Ali, this is it's a pretty nerve-wracking night. लेकिन इस वक्त हम सब लोग बड़े इश्तियाक से टीवी के सामने बैठे देख रहे हैं. I'm sure everybody's excited to know what's the result.
Yeah, so far, One Solar TV has called for 209 electoral college votes for Biden, 118 for Trump. But there's a lot of Republican states like Montana, like Texas, like Florida, like Georgia that have not been called. Do you expect Biden to squeeze out a victory, or will we have an incumbent win again, like many have won before?
So, Ali, it is very hard to unseat an incumbent president. That is for sure. In the history of United States, since I'm in United States, I've not seen an incumbent president being unseated. So, इस वक्त जो है President Trump के chances जो हैं वो ज़्यादा हैं. He's a sitting president. He has done a very strong campaign. He's a good support. And initially जब results आने शुरू हुए थे तो उस वक्त जो है वो Biden was leading in most of these swing states. we saw a big margin, और उसके बाद आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो है Trump supporters, I think Donald Trump has encouraged his supporters to actually vote on the last voting day, which was today.
Yeah.
तो जो early voting count हुए हैं वो ज़्यादातर Democrat supporters थे, most likely. And जो आज ज़्यादातर vote counts हो रहे हैं वो President Trump को favor कर रहे हैं. तो I don't think that Joe Biden is going to be leading in those states.
जो surprising states हैं वो हैं, for example, state of Pennsylvania, जहाँ पर Biden की double-digit number से he was winning in the polls. He was winning by about 8 to 12 points, depending on which poll you looked at.
Exactly.
But the Trump supporters would tell you he had huge rallies, right? 10,000 लोग आ रहे थे इसकी rally पे. So is that a surprise to you, a state like Pennsylvania, which is a pretty blue state, going to the incumbent president, President Trump?
I would say that I'm not surprised. देखें, इस दफ़ा जो सबसे ज़्यादा surprising चीज़ हुई है, which is I have not seen in the history of US, जब से मैं US में elections में vote कर रही हूँ, ये कि voter turnout बहुत ज़्यादा था. It was a huge voter turnout. More than 100 million Americans have casted their vote. और उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा जो है वो early voting हुई है. उसमें बहुत young जो है वो voters उन्होंने participate किया है. Immigrant voters आए हैं सामने, Hispanic voters आए हैं, African American voters आए हैं, Muslim voters आए हैं. तो हम लोग समझ तो यही रहे थे कि we are going to flip those battlegrounds.
Yeah.
और हम जो difficult states हैं उनको swing कर लेंगे. Texas is one of them, Pennsylvania, Ohio. But actually it is surprising that Democrats जो थे जब शुरू में ये election की गहमा-गहमी शुरू हुई थी तो उस वक्त बहुत ज़्यादा Democrats जो हैं they were actually they were very happy and they were very projecting that they're going to have a landslide.
Yeah.
But that does not look like that. The 2016 elections and 2020 elections are looking no different.
Okay. And that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I had some Democratic analysts and strategists tell me they would get 330 electoral votes. That does not look likely anymore.
Well, you know what, Ali, this is not realistic. अगर आप खुशफहमी तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. लेकिन अगर डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प के अगेंस्ट कोई बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग ओपोनेंट होता डेमोक्रेट्स की तरफ से जिसको बहुत ज़्यादा कोई उसमें एक्स्ट्रॉर्डिनरी क्वालिटीज़ होती हैं या उसमें कोई ऐसी चीज़ होती जिससे वोटर्स को आप जोश दिला सकते तो मेरे ख्याल में आप डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प को अनसीट कर सकते थे बट जो बाइडन is just another Democratic candidate. People were not too excited to vote for him.
Okay, that makes sense. Now you're affiliated with PAC-PAC. तो आप बताइए PAC-PAC के नज़रिए से क्या impact हैं पाकिस्तानी voters के on this election? Did they make an impact in your opinion? या what could be improved in the future?
देखिए PAC-PAC में जो सबसे अच्छी बात है कि PAC-PAC is bipartisan, गैर जानिबदार तंजीम है. और हमारा मकसद जो है यहाँ पे पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन्स एज वेल एज पाकिस्तान के जो मफादात हैं उनके लिए हम मेन स्ट्रीम पॉलिटिशियंस के साथ मिलके किस तरह से काम कर सकते हैं हमारे सिलेक्टेड जो सेनेटर्स हैं और कांग्रेसमैन हैं उनके साथ मिलके हम कैसे पॉलिसीज़ पे इफेक्ट कर सकते हैं जो पॉलिसीज़ हमें इफेक्ट करती हैं जो पॉलिसीज़ माइनॉरिटीज़ को इफेक्ट करती हैं अमेरिकन सिटीजन्स को इफेक्ट करती हैं और इनडायरेक्टली पाकिस्तान को इफेक्ट करती हैं तो वी वर्क विद बोथ रिपब्लिकन्स एंड डेमोक्रेट्स हमने इस दफ़ा बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग कैंपेन लड़ी है इस दफ़ा हमने अपने बेशुमार कैंपेन्स को सपोर्ट किया है उसमें मेजॉरिटी वर डेमोक्रेट्स बट देयर वर अ लॉट ऑफ रिपब्लिकन्स और पहली दफ़ा जो है मुझे महसूस हुआ कि बायपार्टिसन होता क्या है and I was very happy to meet my Republican candidates as well as my Democrat candidates so हमने हम सबको सपोर्ट किया हम PAC-PAC is able to influence people to get out to vote हमारा जो इस वक्त मेन एजेंडा था वो ये था कि सबसे पहले तो हम अपने मुस्लिम वोटर्स और पाकिस्तानी वोटर्स एंड एशियन अमेरिकन वोटर्स को घरों से निकाल के पोलिंग स्टेशंस तक लेकर आएं और उनको इस बात का एहसास दिलाएं कि उनका वोट कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है योर वोट इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट और मेरे ख्याल में उसमें PAC बहुत अच्छी तरह से कामयाब हुई है हमारे बहुत सारे वोटर्स जो पहले घरों से निकलते नहीं थे उन्होंने इस दफ़ा वोट भी किया है बल्कि सोशल मीडिया पे अपनी पिक्चर्स भी डाली हैं विच वाज वेरी इनकरेजिंग तो एक में तो हम समझते हैं कि इस एजेंडे में तो हम बहुत कामयाब हुए हैं दूसरा ये कि जो हमने अपने कैंडिडेट्स को सपोर्ट किया डेमोक्रेट्स और रिपब्लिकन्स को उसमें बहुत सारे कैंडिडेट्स जो हैं वो दे हैव वन ऑलरेडी And congratulations, Jim Banks have won, and Jeanine Shaheen has won, and some more are coming through. So what PAC actually did is this time के PAC के जो members थे, उनको ये मौका मिला कि वो अपने कैंडिडेट्स को जान सकते पर्सनल लेवल पे। ये नहीं कि ये एक डेमोक्रेट है तो बस आप स्ट्रेट डेमोक्रेट वोट कर दें, या ये रिपब्लिकन है तो आप स्ट्रेट रिपब्लिकन वोट कर दें। वी गेट टू नो द कैंडिडेट्स पर्सनली, उनके क्या व्यूज हैं, उनकी पर्सनैलिटी कैसी है, वो माइनॉरिटीज के बारे में उनकी क्या राय है, कश्मीर के बारे में उनकी क्या राय है, पाकिस्तान के बारे में उनकी क्या राय है। तो हमें जब ये जानने का मौका मिला तो इस दफ़ा बहुत सारे लोगों से मैंने ये सुना है कि दे डिड नॉट वोटेड स्ट्रेट। वैसे तो ऑप्शन नहीं था इस दफ़ा स्ट्रेट डेमोक्रेट और रिपब्लिकन वोट करने का, लेकिन लोगों ने मिक्स एंड मैच वोट किया है।
हाँ.
बहुत सारे डेमोक्रेट्स को वोट किया है, बहुत सारे रिपब्लिकन्स को वोट किया, बिकॉज वी वर एबल टू टॉक टू देम पर्सनली एंड वी रियली वर वेरी एक्साइटेड एंड वी होप दैट दे विन।
एब्सोल्युटली। तो अब पाकिस्तान के हवाले से या फॉरेन पॉलिसी के हवाले से इन दोनों में से कौन सा आपके ओपिनियन में वुड बी ए बेटर कैंडिडेट और अ बेटर प्रेसिडेंट?
वेल, अगर आप हिस्टोरिकली देखें तो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप साहब के दौरे हुकूमत में पाकिस्तान को कोई सेटबैक नहीं मिला, कोई वॉर नहीं हुई, कोई बहुत बड़े कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स नहीं हुए। और अगर आप पाकिस्तान और इंडिया के ताल्लुकात देखें तो चाहे वो डेमोक्रेट हों या वो रिपब्लिकन्स हों, एवरीबडी फेवर्स इंडिया। तो पाकिस्तान को अपनी पोजीशन मजबूत खुद करनी होगी, सियासी तौर पे भी, माशी तौर पे भी, और हमें अपने आप को प्रूफ करना होगा। इसलिए कि किसी एक प्रेसिडेंट के आने या जाने से मेरे ख्याल में उससे ज़्यादा फ़र्क ये पड़ता है कि जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है ना वो डिसाइड करती है फॉरेन पॉलिसीज़। एक प्रेसिडेंट डिसाइड नहीं करता, एक पूरी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन डिसाइड करती है। लेकिन हमने देखा कि ट्रंप के दौरे हुकूमत में पाकिस्तान को बहुत सारी फेवरेटिज्म भी मिली, कुछ उनके जो है ग्रांट्स अप्रूव हुई, कुछ उनके देयर वर सम फाइनेंशियल बेनिफिट्स पाकिस्तान को। इमरान खान को बहुत अच्छा वेलकम मिला और उनके साथ बहुत अच्छी मुलाकात भी रही है। आई एम श्योर इट हैज़ हेल्प्ड इन सम वेज। लेकिन उससे पहले अगर आप देखें तो डेमोक्रेट हुकूमत के दौरान पाकिस्तान को कोई बहुत ज़्यादा जो है वो बेनिफिट्स नज़र नहीं आए थे। लेकिन यू नो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड वी विल सी कि नेक्स्ट 4 साल में ट्रंप साहब या बाइडन साहब क्या करते हैं पाकिस्तान के लिए।
चलिए, ये तो देखने को हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि फ्यूचर में क्या होता है। Dr. Sabah, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for being a part of One Solar TV. We appreciate your analysis, and inshallah we'll keep talking to you, and we'll definitely talk to you soon as well.
Thank you so much. Take care.
इसके साथ हम आगे चलते हैं. I want to give you a very brief update on the election. We're still at 209 and 118. और मेरे जो दोस्त जो कि चाह रहे हैं कि बाइडन जीत, अगर वो 209 से एक्साइटेड हो रहे हैं, I want to tell you it's a long road ahead, क्योंकि most of the Democratic states have already been called for. So right now we're still at 209, 118. Florida, AP still has not called, and we do not have double confirmation for Florida. So we're still leaving that as a state that's going to be counted, even though we are seeing 98% of the votes coming in for the state of Florida. Georgia is another one of the states that should be going red very easily, with 77% of the votes coming in. It's at 53% for President Trump. So that's another one that will be very easily another red state. And with Georgia, that's 16 electoral votes. With Florida, that's 29 electoral votes. And then you add 38 from Texas. That's a lot of electoral votes that are still pending for President Trump. So the 118, don't let that fool you. Like I said earlier, it's not a sporting match. It's whoever gets to 270 electoral college votes, that's who wins. And that's going to be your next president for the next 4 years. It is too early to call. That's why elections are not called this early. Every vote has to count, and we here are going to wait to make any announcement until every vote is counted as well. So another state just went for Vice President Joe Biden. AP did just update his electoral college vote to 213. So we've got 213. Another small state went for President Biden. And Vice President Biden. I think Patrick is going to hate me. And I can tell from his reaction here in just a second. But Vice President Biden, and 118 electoral college votes for President Trump so far. Okay, with that, who is the next guest? I'm going to ask the production team to give. Okay, so we're going to have actually a good friend of mine. He's a veteran of the Air Force. I won't hold that against him. He's a conservative activist here in the local area. He's who a lot of my friends call the Pagal Gora. And I love to endearingly call him that as well. He's a conservative. He's a friend of mine. We're very, very respectful towards each other. Regardless of him being wrong, I don't hold that against him. I'm just joking, Patrick. Patrick Wemhoff, come on down. Let's have a conversation.
Ali bhai.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you so much for taking the time. Now, I want to say something about Patrick to actually all of our viewers. You had the distinct privilege of watching the debate with the First Family, right?
Yes.
So you're not just somebody that leans conservative. You're somebody that actually works and makes an effort in the Republican Party as well.
Absolutely. I live the values of the Republican Party.
Absolutely. So tell me about tonight. So tell me about tonight. How does tonight look? Is this exactly how you were anticipating?
No, we actually thought it would be a little bit stronger.
Okay.
Like you alluded to earlier in your telecast, we thought it would be stronger than this, but we are pleased with the results. I know you're not calling any states. You keep saying, I'm not calling Texas, I'm not calling Florida. Let's just call it what it is. Texas and Florida are going red. Come on.
Look,
it is
you're
what it
right,
is.
and that's what I'm saying. They're likely going to be red. We wait for double confirmation. So
Right.
we've got Fox News calling Florida. We have no others.
Well, you have me. So you have Fox News and you have me. It's going red. It is what it is.
It likely will. You're absolutely right. So with Florida, with Texas, President Trump is caught up pretty much in the Electoral College vote. You've got a lot of the smaller votes, a lot of the smaller states that have not been called. Tell me about Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was a double-digit victory for Joe Biden, even coming into this morning. What changed?
You know, I think what changed is in the past, we have discounted states like Pennsylvania and marked them off as blue-collar states.
Yeah.
I mean, even Joe, Mr. Scranton, right? So I think President Trump, with his rallies and his enthusiasm for the base, getting the working man back to work, I think that was a big deal. And of course, Joe did not do himself any favors when he alluded to moving away from oil and getting to renewable energies, which, as I know, is one of your sweet spots.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a very big deal for a state like Pennsylvania, fracking oil. A lot
Correct.
of those create jobs. Even though he did say they would transition by 2050, but 2050 doesn't seem too far away.
Correct.
Right, when you're there. So tell me a little bit more about, so these rallies have created this mass effect for President Trump. Let me ask you a tough question on that.
All right.
A report came out that said as many as 30,000 COVID cases and as many as 750 deaths could be tracked back to these rallies. If you were advising the president, would you have told him not to do these rallies?
No, I would not, and I don't know where, I didn't see the study, you know, and I believe half of what I see and none of what I hear. So I would question the numbers. The numbers have been suspect from the beginning, from the CDC, from the news media. I just have a hard time believing all the numbers. You and I both know, I travel around the world, 14 different countries. I know thousands of people across the United States and the world, including India and Pakistan.
Of course.
And I know 0 people that have died from the virus. So I know that the virus is real,
Yes.
but getting the economy back open, I think that was President Trump's message, that getting people back to work, because either we're dying from the virus or we're dying from not being able to pay our mortgage and feed our families.
Okay.
So I think the economy is what President Trump ran on. And I think the virus is very important and we need to get it under control. But we can't blame President Trump for the virus. If we blame President Trump for the 216,000 deaths, then you also have to give President Trump credit for the 9 million people that survived COVID as well.
Very, very good point. So what are some of the... Our sound guys are having fun. So what are some of the strong points that you think the voters were looking for that they found in President Trump going into Election Day today?
Getting the country back open.
Okay.
As you've seen in Texas, open Texas. We're tired of sitting at home. We're tired of the masks. We want to get back to work and get the money in our pockets. You're never truly free unless you're financially free. And I think getting people back to work in Texas and in the United States was a key message for President Trump, and that's what helped him get victory in Pennsylvania and Florida and Texas and all the other traditional hardworking states that we have.
Blue states. Awesome. So now, did you vote?
Absolutely.
And it's not going to be a surprise. Who'd you vote for?
Donald J. Trump.
Awesome. So now, I want to hold everybody accountable that's coming to make sure that they voted.
Yes,
If
sir.
you had a message for our viewers, we're on camera 3, look them in the eye and tell them why they should be choosing the Republican Party or President Trump over anybody else that's running right now.
Well, I think President Trump was running against Joe Biden, right?
True.
So
but the Republicans, I meant in general, as a party, because it's more than just Donald Trump.
Sure.
Right? You've got your senators here, you've got your congressmen. So what are the values of the Republican Party that minority viewers that we have should be clinging to?
I think that the Democrat Party has done a really good job of convincing minority voters that they are the party for them. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily the case. I think the Republican Party actually aligns more with your viewers' values than the Democrat Party does. Maybe the Democrat Party of the past has been a champion of fighting the power and more for the people. But actually, what are you fighting for now? The Democrat Party owns academia. The Democrat Party owns the media. The Democrat Party owns, every single bit of entertainment. Who are you fighting? You're not fighting the establishment. You're part of the establishment. The Republican Party is actually the party that fights for the working man, fights for the working woman, and so that's why I believe that our values, family values and pro-life economy, the money that you earn in your paycheck gets to stay in your wallet as opposed to where the government decides it goes. So,
but a lot of times that's why you see immigrants leaning even libertarian, because they're fiscally conservative.
Right.
Right. However, they don't agree with a lot of the social values of the Republican Party. I'll give you some examples of what I hear, and I told you we were gonna go toe to toe a little bit, so let's go toe to toe. I'll give you some examples of what I hear from the Muslim voters. Right.
Sure.
When you have a presidential candidate that says that I will not appoint a Muslim cabinet member, regardless of qualification. When you have a candidate that then becomes president that says, I'll have a Muslim ban, and then does it. When you have a candidate that becomes president that says, I saw Muslims celebrating after 9/11, and there is no pushback. And then on top of that, in our own state, the gentleman that's now the head of the Republican Party, I mean, you and I know I'm absolutely no fan of him. He's an Islamophobe. He doesn't have his facts straight, and he creates more fear and hysteria. So why should I cast my vote, even if somebody's going to come give me free money? Is it my self-respect and integrity worth more as a Muslim, not even an abiding Muslim, than, economy at that point, or a little bit less in taxes and some of these other fiscally conservative issues?
I think there's a lot to unpack there. One, I take issue with the term Muslim ban, right? Okay. Because I have friends that I play soccer with from Morocco. Morocco wasn't part of the ban, and that's a traditionally Muslim country. Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country. A lot of countries were predominantly Muslim. They're still allowed to travel here. So I take issue with the Muslim ban term, right? So there was no Muslim ban. There was a ban on certain countries that have predominantly Muslim citizenship. The other thing was Colonel West.
Yes.
You called him an Islamophobe. I think phobia implies what? Fear.
Sure.
I don't think the man fears anything. He's a strong leader. He's what the Republican Party of Texas.
Okay, let's call him racist then. If we want to mingle on words.
No,
I mean he had to plea bargain out of a case where he shot a gun at somebody that was handcuffed.
He shot a gun into a barrel, and I wasn't there. I don't want to hash.
I wasn't there either.
Right. So we're going off, what was told to us on. He did.
He plea bargained. I as a man, and you as a veteran,
sure.
Somebody would have to put nails through my hands for me to plea bargain to something I didn't do.
Sure.
So let's not give him the benefit of the doubt because he plea bargained.
Right. I think that there was an incident during war. That he felt like he needed to do to save his men, and I look to a leader in that regard, where I would want someone to protect me at all costs.
But the military disagreed with him. That's why he was tried.
So there's rules and there's consequences, and he paid the consequences, and now he's moved on from that.
But no, his words have continued. His words have continued, where he talks about Islam being against the United States and not being with the values. And what that does is the 1.7 billion Muslims that are in this world can pick on those words. As a matter of fact, if you are a terrorist organization, it makes it easy to recruit. Look at what this guy is saying.
Sure.
So doesn't that actually hurt our interest as opposed to help us?
If that was the case, yes. So we've had this conversation before.
Yes.
And the Allen West that you know is not the Allen West that I've sat down with and talked with. The Allen West that I know is an honorable patriot, loving man that loves this country and loves the great state of Texas.
Okay.
So we just know two different versions of
Maybe he
Colonel
has an
West.
evil twin that I know of.
Maybe so.
Now, what I want to make sure, because you're one of the few conservatives that we've had on the show, so I want to be fair. I want to give you, let's say, 60 seconds or 30 seconds uninterrupted. Give your message to our viewers, and I won't interrupt.
You were the only conservative that you have ever had. I don't know.
Today is the only show that we have so far. So no, everybody besides you has been a Democrat, to be very quite honest. And I say I'm not a journalist, but neither is anybody on Fox News. So I can show my bias. The difference is I admit that I'm not a journalist. So again, 30 seconds. Look in the camera, camera 3, as our team is telling us, uninterrupted. Get your message.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you, and thank One Solar and everyone for allowing me to come and spend some time with you. Because I think of the more time that we spend together, we can align more of what we agree with than what we find in differences. And what I would ask is, for your viewers, whether you're international or right here local in the great state of Texas, because it is the best state in the union, what I would ask you to do is just research the candidates, right? And find the candidate that aligns best with your values. Don't just go with what your neighbor tells you. Don't just go with what CNN tells you. Actually research the candidates and find out maybe you don't align with the party you think you align with. Maybe if you research the values yourself of the Republican Party, that you'll see that more of the Republican Party is something that you align with than you really realized. But at the end of the day, I think my final message to you and to your audience there is that regardless of what happens after President Trump wins the election tonight, we're all neighbors. And so we need to get along. We were neighbors and friends. We were friends before this election. We're going to be friends after Donald Trump wins this election. Absolutely. So I think if we get back to just being neighbors and being friends, the U.S. will be a lot better place.
That's why I love having you. I think I agreed with everything you said except you know which part. So I won't even go there. I'm going to put my journalist hat on. Patrick, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate having you. That was Patrick. He's an Air Force veteran. He's a conservative activist. And he is one of the only conservatives, actually the only conservative on the show today. So I appreciate him having the, what's the right word? The guts to come onto the show and go toe-to-toe with us. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to update. I think we have another state that was called. And if we have another state that was called, I want to keep our... Okay, so we have 223 electoral college votes going towards Joe Biden as we speak, and 118 still remaining towards Patrick. I do agree with him on a couple of things. Florida will likely go red. Let's count on that. Texas will likely go red. And between these two, that's 38 and 29, that's 67 electoral college votes that are going to go towards President Trump. And that is going to be upcoming but they're not called yet by two reliable sources. Like I said, Fox News did call Florida. We have not received confirmation from another journalistic source. Did I just call Fox News a journalistic source? I apologize. Anyhow, but we're waiting on that. We're waiting on that here in just a little bit. All right. Excuse me. Let's take a look at the Senate races, because it is predicted and it is projected that Democrats will take over Senate, or at least have a 49-49 Senate caucus coming in. Right now, there's 42 seats that are called for Democrats and 45, with 9 1 seats for Democrat and 15. So 24 have been called. We're waiting on quite a few more results to come in, about 9 more seats to be coming back. And in those 9 seats, Democrats have to pick up a lot of them. If they do not pick up a lot of them, then we're again going to have a Senate majority of Republicans. We have already called the House. House stays blue with the Democrats. Supreme Court stays red. No, I'm just kidding. With the Republicans so far. So with all of these updates, I'm going to ask my production team if we have our next guest, or if we're going to... Okay, we're going to go to music. So Amita, and I'm gonna go randomly to her right now, is going to entertain us with one more song while we get caught up on the news.
Yes, so the next song I'm going to sing is a very popular song by Lata Mangeshkar. It's a very old black and white song, but a very melodious song. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it.
वाह जी अमिता जी, आप तो छा गई आज। और कैसा लग रहा है आपको अभी तक जो कवरेज जा रही है, आपके क्या तासुरात हैं?
I mean, there've been some very good discussions, very good analysis. So, as you said, it could go either way.
Exactly.
So, we just have to watch and see.
It'll be a long night. We appreciate having you with us, क्योंकि वरना तो लोग मेरे ख्याल से बोरियत से मर जाते हैं। तो आपकी सुरीली आवाज़ मुझे थोड़ा बैलेंस आउट कर रही है। No, we appreciate having you with us. आपको भी हम थोड़ी देर और हमारा मेहमान बनाकर रखेंगे, क्योंकि आपसे कम से कम एक और गाना सुनना है, क्योंकि रिक्वेस्ट वहीं पर आ रही है। और लेकिन अभी हम थोड़ी सी हमारे गेस्ट को ज़रा अपडेट्स देते हैं कि हो क्या रहा है। तो अभी तक जो मेन बैटल ग्राउंड स्टेट्स बन चुके हैं, फ्लोरिडा एंड टेक्सास, बिलीव इट और नॉट, most news sources are still calling them a battleground state. Pennsylvania, most news sources are still calling it a battleground states. Among these three, you've got about right under 90 electoral college votes among these three states. Here's the truth, though. In those three states, you've got President Trump with a very, very healthy lead. What you also have with Pennsylvania, and I think what the challenge is going to be, is the mail-in votes. So the mail-in votes, which is what makes Pennsylvania a battleground state, क्योंकि mail-in votes आज हमें नहीं पता चलेंगे. So likely Pennsylvania is going to go on for a few days, if not maybe a few weeks. The other challenge with Pennsylvania, if it was close, 50-48, 52-50, or 52-48, it would be something that could be contested easily or overcome with late votes or late counts or mail-in ballots or absentee votes. The challenge is that there's a very significant difference between the two candidates, with President Trump showing over 2.3 million votes and Vice President Biden showing right under 1.8 million votes counted. So the difference between the two is right under 600,000 votes. In a state like Pennsylvania, that's a very, very stark difference. A lot of the counties that have come in are red counties, and some of the counties that are likely to come in are actually blue counties. So for example, you've got Centre County in Pennsylvania that is still counting votes. You've got Dauphin County that is still counting votes. Chester, some of the other Democrat-leaning counties, which is why most news organizations actually wait for a lot of these votes to come in, and they're not in a hurry to call these elections. I'm actually going to look county by county in some of these other battleground states as well and see if there's a chance for a flip, or see if there's a chance for President Trump to actually retain hold, or will we have a new presidency? The other thing that actually makes a huge difference in a split house between, not a split house, but a split presidency, when you have a House and a Senate that is completely different party and completely different belief from the president who's leading. As of right now, the popular vote is also neck to neck between the two. So you've got about 59 million votes already counted for Vice President Biden, and right under 58 million votes already counted for President Trump. So even the popular vote, even though Biden is leading by a very wide margin, when we're looking at electoral votes, 223 to now, we have to update that. By the way, we're calling a few more states for President Trump, and that's going to put it at 145 from 136. So from 223, we're at 145 for President Trump, and the state that we're calling, I believe, is Iowa. That's going to go towards President Trump, and that is Iowa with 6 electoral college votes. That went Trump with 53.3% of the voters selecting President Trump, over 45% of the voters selecting Vice President Biden, or choosing to vote for Vice President Biden. Iowa is actually traditionally a red state anyway. However, a lot of these red states, they do take their time coming in as results come in. Now, with Senate, we still have a lot of seats that are unaccounted for. Senate, we did not expect them to take this long coming in with the Senate seats. However, they are taking a little bit longer coming in. There's a few other topics that are of interest that I want to hit on before we get into before we get into more results and more of this. So One of the topics that I want to discuss is Supreme Court. Supreme Court, as we sit today or as we go into this election, is 6-3 conservative. Why does this matter? Well, your decisions like Roe v. Wade, like the right to an abortion, your access to health care, even a lot of economic decisions, economic impact, end up at the Supreme Court. Very famously, the 2000 election and the recount for Florida specifically went before the Supreme Court, and it was a 5-4 decision that halted the recount in Florida. 5-4, aligning with the parties that those justices aligned with at the time. So as we sit today, if it were to go to Supreme Court again 20 years later, likely it would be a 6-3 vote in favor of the Republican Party and in favor of the incumbent. So what can be done about it? Those are lifetime seats, and those are seats that there's no term limits, there's no terms. You don't get to pick another one after 20 years. What is important is that another liberal justice is at 84 years old. So likely it could be 7-2 if President Trump wins. So if Biden wins, what are the options? You've already got 6 conservative justices. You've got 3 liberal justices that are left-leaning. So one of the options that is actually, a lot of people don't really think about it or don't really know, is we've not always had 9 Supreme Court justices. It's not anywhere in the Constitution. As a matter of fact, Supreme Court justices weren't always only Supreme Court justices. They actually were on another court and then rode in, back in the days of horseback riding, to Washington, D.C. for Supreme Court cases, because they only meet once a year. So there's nothing that says 9 Supreme Court justices. So then President Biden, if he was elected, could put in more justices onto the Supreme Court. Well, how could he do that? He would only be able to do that if Senate flips, and that's why Senate is so important today. He needs the Senate approval, 51 votes from the Senate. In reality, could he do that? He could, but he probably would not. But Supreme Court usually does not go against a sitting president and the sitting House and the Senate, because they know that they can be flipped at any time. So if the Senate and the House went Democrat, which is what it was projected for today, and if the White House also went Democrat, then it could neutralize, at the very least, the threat of packing the court would neutralize pretty much any major decisions from going the other way as they could. So your Roe v. Wade, for example, would be safe, and some of the other major decisions that have been made that are now into law over the last 30, 40 years would remain the way that they are. The biggest thing that I think is at stake is your health care. Obamacare is something that is being challenged in front of the Supreme Court, and the access to affordable health care could be taken away at any given moment if that's what the voters decide here at the end of the day, today, or however long it takes for us to get to a president. So what we're looking at, there's a few states that are still very, very heavy and very heavy to call. So I want to take a look at some of those battle states or battleground states, and I want to talk about why they're still battleground. So Ohio is another state that actually going into today, it's a very easily Republican state. But the polls today showed the race tightening to President Trump winning with only 2 to 3 percentage points. Now, the 2 to 3 percentage points meant that if Ohio was lost, because that's within the margin of error, then Pennsylvania would be lost, then Florida could easily be lost, and Texas was also within 2 to 3 points. So Ohio right now, it's still not called by most journalistic sources. It's still close, but President Trump has a very comfortable lead of 500,000 votes, exactly about 450,000 or so votes in Ohio right now. Now, Ohio also has not counted mail-in ballots. So there's a lot of votes that are yet to be counted in Ohio, but President Trump has a very, very comfortable lead in that state. Pennsylvania is another one where President Trump still has a very, very comfortable lead going into counting the mail-in ballots. Iowa, we called for President Trump. Ohio is going to be, I believe, called here very, very soon for president. As a matter of fact, Ohio is called for President Trump as well. So Ohio and Iowa are called for President Trump, putting him at 223, which is what we called for putting him at 145 and Joe Biden at 223, which is what we call for those. So even with electoral votes or even with mail-in votes still out, the margin of votes for President Trump is so high that it's just not going to be surmountable. We're looking at Texas with 46% going for Biden and 52% going for Trump. And that's with 79% of the votes coming in so far. That's a huge margin of about, actually now 600,000 votes so far. So it's actually a bigger margin than it was in 2016. So Texas, instead of going towards blue, has actually gone more towards red, if we believe what we know so far. There's still a lot of early votes to be counted in Texas. There's still a lot of election day results to be counted in Texas. And there's still a lot of mail-in votes to be counted. Here's what we'll do next. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to be back after these commercials. Actually, we're going to change based on what I'm hearing. We're going to do one more song from Amita. She's going to do her song for us, her last song for us, and then we're going to get the final updates for tonight. So, Amita, over to you.
So I'm going to attempt a Punjabi song. I don't know Punjabi, but I'm going to attempt it. So if I make any mistakes with the pronunciation, please don't mind.
अबे तू लौंग वे मेलाची तेरे पीछे आ गवाची वे तू लौंग वे मेलाची तेरे पीछे आ गवाची तेरे इश्क ने मारी कुड़ी खच दी कवारी तेरे इश्क ने मारी कुड़ी खच दी कवारी ए वे चंबे पे पहाड़ा वाली शाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया हमें सुनने सुनने पैर तो ता जाना रंदा से बाका बंगड़ी ना थोड़ा ले दे झंझरा ना जोड़ा हाँ मेरे सुनने सुनने पैर तो ता जाना रंदा से मौका मंगड़ी ना थोड़ा ले दे झंझरा ना जोड़ा जद विकड़ बाजारा विच आम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया रुके बल्ला देवे चले तेरे बिना असी कले पाले भौवा विच बावा तू तो बन जान जावा हाय रुके बल्ला देवे चले तेरे बिना असी कले पाले भौवा विच बावा तू तो बन जान जावा तेनू लिखे ये हवाए ते पैगाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया संदली संदली नैना विच तेरा नाम वे मुंडिया
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amita ji. An awesome song. From here, we're going to cut to break. And when we come back from break, we'll give you more updates, more coverage, more analysis on this election 2020. Yeah. Oh, actually, Amita ji is leaving us. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll have you soon, very, very soon. I think Diwali show you're coming back.
Yes, I'll be back. Thank you so
She's
much
in
for
high
having me.
demand with our listeners and with our viewers. So Amita ji, we appreciate having you on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And who do you think is going to win tonight? You have a lot of, you've listened to me for 3.5 hours, 2.5 hours. What is your last thought before you go?
Well, I do hope it's Biden, but
Okay.
you never know.
I think a lot of us are a little biased. And like I said, I'm not a journalist, so I don't have to hide my bias. but we appreciate having you on and appreciate entertaining us with the music. So with that, we're going to cut to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue our analysis. Before we go, Donald Trump, there's a few more states we're going to announce for Trump, and he's at 174 electoral college votes as we speak. So we'll talk about that here in just a moment. When we come back, keep watching One Solar TV.
Here with One Solar Solution, your #1 solar installers of North Texas. We all have these huge overheads and we're trying to downsize. How do you eliminate? Go solar with One Solar Solution. We offer in-house financing for corporations, for residential, for solar farms. It's so simple. The number below. Go solar with One Solar Solution.
All your real estate, commercial or residential needs, contact Hassan Sumro at kw.com or call 972-333-4801. Hassan Sumro.
Glow and Grow with Cheese, a digital recreational platform for homemakers. Follow Glow and Grow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube because we all could use a little reminder of how awesome we are.
Marine Mill Supply deals in casters and wheels since last 52 years. For more information, contact 9232431374, 9232421821, or you can visit our website www.mmscasters.com.
Here with One Solar Solution, your #1 solar installers.
What do you do with the money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount Power?
I took all my friends out to dinner.
I paid off all my credit cards.
I took my whole family on a vacation.
I bought all this.
At Discount Power, saving you money on electricity is our business. What you do with it is yours. Great rates, great service. Simple. Visit discountpowertx.com today and save.
Dawat Indian Cuisine, the best restaurant in the heart of Frisco, where you can eat all you want under one roof. Sizzling food, mouth-watering appetizers, freshly made yummy butter chicken, balochi kadai, roasted chicken and lot more. Come with your loved ones and enjoy Dawat.
Hello everyone, this is Sam, quality with quantity only at Dawat. एक बार आए जरूर.
Dawat, quality with quantity.
What did you do with the money you saved on electricity by switching to Discount?
Welcome back everybody to One Solar TV on election night coverage. This is your special election transmission. आपके साथ हमने किया है 3 घंटे पौने 4 घंटे का शो. We started at 8 PM actually. 8 से पहले भी हम थोड़ी देर लाइव गए थे and अब बज रहे हैं पौने 12. और इस ट्रांसमिशन में सबसे पहले तो मैं बहुत थैंक यू कहना चाहूँगा हमारे हर गेस्ट का जो आज आए और उन्होंने अपनी सोच और अपनी पूरी एनालिसिस हमारे साथ गुजारी. We had attorneys, we had economists, we had a lot of activists. We had a good friend of mine who's a conservative. We disagree on a lot of things, but we had a very political and positive conversation regardless of this. But most important than guests, and of course we want to thank our sponsors. I won't even go down that list. वो भी बहुत लंबी list है. Thank you to all of the One Solar TV sponsors. I will say thank you to Discount Power, who's our biggest sponsor today for this show. Discount Power has special rates for One Solar TV special election transmission viewers. So if you would like those rates and you live in the state of Texas, you can inbox us and we'll send you the link to those rates. So go to discountpower.com, but really go to our Facebook page and message us for those special rates. Really, who I would like to thank more than anybody else before we go on is our team. Dallas में ऐसा मेरे ख्याल से कभी नहीं हुआ that you have a special election transmission like this. सच बात है कि वन सोलर टीवी की टीम अभी बहुत यंग है. 8 महीने हुए हमें शुरू हुए और जब हमने ये सोचा 6 महीने हसन भाई बता रहे हैं, जब हमने ये सोचा कि हम इलेक्शन ट्रांसमिशन करें तो इस पर भी एक डिस्कशन था कि ये करें या ना करें, क्योंकि इट्स अ वेरी बिग टास्क. अगर भाई आप टीम देखें जो मैं देख रहा हूँ प्रोडक्शन पे, सबके अभी we're all deflated, to be all quite honest with you. We're all Biden supporters, but everybody has worked their butt off. We've had 3 people on visual, we've had 2 people on audio, we've had 3 people verifying results, we've had 3 people on production, and I'm still missing probably a couple of people that are helping. यहाँ पर जो मेहमान भी आ रहा था ना ट्रांसमिशन देखना, हम उसे भी काम पे लगा रहे थे. So that's how much work it takes to put on something like this. I want to say special thank you to 2 people in particular. One is my friend Samir Jaffer, DJ Samir. उसने पिछले 3 दिन बहुत मेहनत की है and he really made sure that आप जो देख रहे हैं set, आप वो देख पाएँ. So Taz, if you're watching, he really has been here the last 3 days. इससे पहले का मुझे नहीं पता, लेकिन 3 दिन ये यहाँ था. And I really appreciate him. And also, just as important, विजुअल के साथ ऑडियो भी आता है. तो अगर आपको मेरी आवाज़ अभी तक पहुंच रही है तो ये है बदौलत रे केशवानी of Zark Entertainment. So we appreciate him coming in as well and making sure you not just can hear me, you can hear my guests, but you can also hear Amita and her beautiful voice. तो हर शो की तरह आज भी रे केशवानी and Zark Entertainment are with us. They've joined with us and they are helping us bring these results to you. So we really do appreciate all of the effort from our team and in bringing this to you. Now, without further ado, AP has called, remember Fox News called Florida for President Trump. A while ago, we did let you know that. However, we told you we were looking for double confirmation and now we have it. Associated Press has called Florida for President Trump, and that is 29, I believe, electoral college votes, 29 electoral college votes going to President Trump, which puts him at 174 electoral college votes. And Vice President Biden is at 223. So what does Vice President Biden, if you're rooting for that team, what does he have left before, does he have a path to 270 still? it's a tough path, to be quite honest with you, if he were to be able to pull this off. You've got Arizona, where he's leading, and Arizona has 11 electoral votes that would put him at 234. He's got Maine, where he's leading, and that's only 4 electoral votes that would put him at 238. And so those are the swing states where he's leading at. He still needs, remember, it's a path to 270. So he still needs 32 electoral votes. Now, they can come from a lot of the states where President Trump is leading right now. For example, it's close in North Carolina with 15 electoral college votes. It's 50 to almost 49. So 2.7 million votes casted to President Trump, 2.73 million to be exact, 2.655 million votes casted for Joe Biden. So difference is less than 100,000 votes in North Carolina. That difference could be made up with mail-in ballots. You've got Georgia with 16 electoral college votes. The margin there is a little bit bigger, 53% for Donald Trump, 46%. And it's about 300,000 voters that separate the two. You've got Nevada. Nevada should be, it's only 2% reporting, but it's 6 electoral college votes. And with 2% reporting, there's a huge margin between President Trump and Vice President Joe Biden. However, the 2% that is reporting are both Republican-leaning counties, and that's one of the reasons why you should not look at early voting as any indication, or early results as any indication per se of how the state is going to be going. So again, the count is 223 to 174 so far. I have a little bit of an update on the Senate seat as well. Remember, it was 53 Republican Senate seats and 45 Democrat and 2 independents that caucused with Democrat coming into today. However, right now we're at 46 and 43. So 46 seats have been confirmed. 16 have been won by the Republican Party today. 10 have been won by the Democratic Party today so far. Out of the ones that are not called, you have Arizona's Mark Kelly that is leading as a Democrat. You have a Democrat in Colorado that is leading, and he's likely going to hold his lead. So you'll probably go back to 45, at least for the Democrats. And you might have still 2 independents caucusing with the Democrat. Lindsey Graham has already won his South Carolina seat, even though a lot of people were trying to unseat Lindsey Graham. Mitch McConnell won handedly against his opponent in Kentucky. So that was a very, very easy seat for Mitch McConnell to win. Joni Ernst has won as well with 99% of the votes reporting, and that's in Iowa. So that's a very big seat. Alabama, you had Tommy Tuberville, who's already been declared the winner there. You've got a few seats where you've got Republicans that are leading, but they haven't been called. Yet. You've got John James in Michigan. You've got Steve Daines, in Minnesota, in Montana. You've got Tom Tillis in North Carolina, and that's going to be a very interesting one to watch. He's at 48%. With his Democratic contender Cal Cunningham at 47%. It's only 100,000 votes. And again, this is another one that mail-in votes in North Carolina can truly, so there's a lot hanging on North Carolina that can truly sway one way or the other. In Georgia, there's a runoff, by the way, and we need to report that. In Georgia, there's not a clear winner for the Senate seat. So in Georgia, there is going to be a runoff, and that's already been scheduled. You had Ralph Warnock, who's right now the leading contender with 30% of the vote, and Kelly Loeffler, who's at 28% of the vote. Since nobody has the majority, then that's going to go into, and there were actually, Georgia is one of the states where there's multiple contenders. It's not the primary state that we're used to here in Texas or in a lot of other states. So it's a different political system in Georgia than others. So there were multiple Republicans that ran and multiple Democrats that ran. And out of those, Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler are the 2 that are be going into a runoff election. And then whoever has 50% of the votes or more is going to be declared the winner. I think I am being cued to a song. I'm looking at the director to let me know if I'm being cued to a song. Okay, so So I'm going to stop right here our analysis. I'm going to get caught up on the news and everything else as well. You're going to be listening to one of my favorite singers here in Dallas, and definitely my favorite DJ here in Dallas, and that's DJ Samir. Samir, take it away.
Thank you very much, Ali. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you for coming.
From what I see, we have reached a milestone today, yes?
Thank you.
If you guys are Kishore fans, I definitely am, and hope you guys will enjoy this. Sorry, I've been under the weather, but we'll see. मेरी हंसनी कहाँ उड़ चली मेरे अरमानों के पंख लगा के कहाँ उड़ चली ओ हंसनी मेरी हंसनी कहाँ उड़ चली मेरे अरमानों के पंख लगा के कहाँ उड़ चली देर से लहरों में कंवल संभाले हुए मन का जीवन ताल में भटक रहा रे तेरा हंसा हो देर से लहरों में कंवल संभाले हुए मन का जीवन ताल में भटक रहा रे तेरा हंसा ओ हंसनी मेरी हंसनी कहाँ उड़ चली मेरे अरमानों के पंख लगा के कहाँ उड़ चली आज मेरी रातों में लहक रहा रे तेरा गजरा आज मेरी सांसों में महक रहा रे तेरा गजरा हो आज मेरी रातों में लहक रहा रे तेरा गजरा आज मेरी सांसों में महक रहा रे तेरा गजरा ओ हंसनी मेरी हंसनी कहाँ उड़ चली मेरे अरमानों के पंख लगा के कहाँ उड़ चली हे Hey, 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 hey. Thank you.
छा गया Thank you so much, Samir, for coming here. Thank you so much for gracing us. And thank you so much for entertaining our viewers. अब हम अपना शो रैप अप करने जाते हैं क्योंकि देखिए 4 घंटे की ट्रांसमिशन करना एक लोकल चैनल के लिए is a feat that I think we have been able to accomplish today. Thanks to our great team again. But before we go, I want to tell you a little bit about the path to 270 and how it looks before we wrap up. In reality, Senate is still up in the air with 46 seats for the Republican Party and 43 for the Democratic Party. So that's still going to take a little bit of time for them to still count votes and see what it comes down to. At the very least, it looks like it'll still be 47 for the with the Democratic caucus. Maybe they can pick up a seat or two to stop that majority, but we'll see how that goes. Here are the states that are still left that a lot of the Democratic strategists or analysts are actually hanging their hopes on. For example, Wisconsin is right now favored by President Trump as we speak, 48 to 51, but a lot of the votes in a lot of the counties that lean towards President Biden or Vice President Biden have not been counted yet. So that's going to be a very important state to watch. However, at this moment, it is being led by President Trump. You've got Michigan, which was a solid state, 60% of the votes that have been counted. And in that 60%, there's about a 9-point spread between President Trump and Vice President Biden. Is gap may be काफ़ी अभी dent पड़ सकता है, काफ़ी अभी there's a lot that can happen there between Wisconsin and Michigan. And then, of course, there's North Carolina. North Carolina with 15 electoral votes. So 15 for North Carolina, Michigan with 16, and then you've got 10 at Wisconsin. That could be a path for a victory for the Democratic Party, for Vice President Biden, if the voters choose to have Vice President Biden be the 46th president. That would only leave Nevada, Texas, and Georgia, which are not called so far, to go to President Trump. That's a very tough path. That's a very tough path for Vice President Biden to cross. That's a very, very hard battle for him to have fought. Here's where we stand today. Where we stand is this was an election that energized many. Just like I started at the beginning of this transmission, I told you that Texas में 2016 में सिर्फ लाख वोटर्स थे जो कि यूथ कहलाते थे 18 to 29 के बीच में. इस साल 6.5 लाख वोटर्स थे उसमें. लेकिन आप देख रहे हैं कि margin is not, it's actually greater so far for President Trump versus where he was in 2016. So overall, there's a lot more voters, there's a lot more engagement, there's a lot of people that for the first time voted, whether they were senior citizens, whether they were immigrants, whether they were youth voters. And it is a possibility still that we could have a new president on January 20th. However, that likelihood seems to be smaller and smaller. खैर, मैं भी आपकी तरह ही find out करूँगा थोड़े दिनों में as we watch TV. क्या पता कल सुबह तक पता चल जाए. But thank you so much for tuning into One Solar TV. I hope you continue watching. हमारा अगला show Tunes with Alu will be on Thursday. For right now, good night and